Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto wielded the boosted gear and divine dividing as the balance breaker god Naruto x Yasaka, High School DxD. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Awakening pain shot through Naruto's body as consciousness slammed back into him. Not the dull ache of training or even the sharp burn of battle, this was different. Every cell felt wrong, rearranged. He gasped, eyes flying open to a night sky he didn't recognize. What the hell? Naruto pushed himself up from cold concrete. This wasn't the valley of the end. The final clash with Sasuke, their powers colliding, that blinding light, it should have been the end of their fight. Instead, towering glass and steel structures surrounded him, glowing with countless lights that drowned out the stars. Kurama. Naruto called inwardly, searching for the familiar presence of the Nine Tails. Nothing. But not the emptiness of absence, something else lurked where Kurama should be. Something split, fragmented. A sharp burn erupted on both arms simultaneously. Naruto yanked back his torn sleeve to reveal something impossible. His left arm glowed with a pulsing red light embedded in his skin, while his right arm shimmered with blue-white energy. What's happening to me? The red light on his left arm suddenly flashed brighter. Boost. Energy surged through him, doubling his strength in an instant. The sensation was familiar yet foreign, like Kurama's chakra but processed differently. The blue light on his right arm responded. Divide. The overwhelming power instantly halved, stabilizing within him rather than dissipating. Kurama. Is that you? Naruto focused inward again, following the strange sensations to his mindscape. Instead of the familiar sealed chamber, he found two distinct spaces, a red void and a blue void, with a fragmented consciousness split between them. And Naruto? The voice was Kurama's but distorted, confused. Something's wrong. We're not where we should be. Where are we? What happened to you? The collision with the Uchiha tore reality. We've crossed somewhere else. My chakra, transformed. Adapted to this world's rules. Naruto opened his eyes, looking around at the unfamiliar cityscape. Neon signs flashed with symbols he somehow understood despite never seeing them before. Tokyo, he read aloud. We're in Tokyo. Standing shakily, Naruto moved toward the street. People walked past, their clothes strange, devices in their hands. No one wore headbands or ninja gear. No one noticed the disoriented blonde teen in tattered battle clothes. Hey, Naruto grabbed the arm of a passing man in a dark suit. Where exactly am I? The man yanked his arm away. Back off, kid. Go sleep it off somewhere else. He hurried away, muttering about drunk teenagers. I'm not drunk. Naruto called after him, earning stares from passers-by. He needed information, and standing in this alley wouldn't provide it. Stepping onto the main street, Naruto froze at the sensory overload. Vehicles unlike anything in the Five Nations zoomed past. Screens larger than buildings displayed moving images. The air smelled of food, exhaust, and too many people. His stomach growled. At least hunger was familiar. Following his nose, Naruto found a small ramen stand wedged between larger establishments. Hey old man, he called, taking a seat at the counter. One miso ramen. The cook raised an eyebrow. You got money, kid? Naruto patted his pockets, finding only a few Ryo coins. Will this work? He placed them on the counter. The cook picked up one coin, examined it, and laughed. Cosplaying. Nice prop money. He pushed the coins back. No yen, no ramen. But I'm starving. Naruto protested. I just fought a war, got blasted into another dimension, and now Kurama's turned into these weird things on my arms. The cook's expression darkened. Look kid, take the crazy act somewhere else before I call the cops. Dejected, Naruto left the stand. His stomach growled louder, and frustration built. He was the hero who saved the ninja world, and now he couldn't even get a bowl of ramen. Boost. The red glow surged again, responding to his emotions. Power flooded his system. Whoa, Naruto breathed, feeling the energy flow. That's not chakra, but it's close. A scream pierced the night several blocks away. Instinct kicked in, and Naruto sprinted toward the sound. His enhanced speed caught him by surprise, sending him crashing into a wall when he tried to turn. Still gotta calibrate this, he muttered, peeling himself off the brick. In a narrow alley, 3 hulking figures surrounded a terrified couple. But these weren't ordinary thugs, their skin rippled with inhuman textures, eyes glowing in the darkness. Smell that? One growled to the others. These humans reek of sacred potential. The boss will reward us well, another replied, a forked tongue flicking between pointed teeth. Naruto didn't hesitate. Hey! Ugly trio! Back away from them. The creatures turned, and Naruto finally got a clear look. Humanoid but definitely not human, scaled skin, elongated limbs, and teeth too sharp for any natural predator. A witness? Kill it, the largest one commanded. The smallest creature lunged at Naruto, claws extending. Pure reflex took over as Naruto formed a familiar cross sign. Shadow clone jutsu. Nothing happened. Crap. Naruto barely dodged the slashing claws. My chakra's all messed up. Boost. The red gauntlet flashed again, and Naruto felt another surge of power. When the creature attacked again, Naruto's enhanced reflexes let him grab its arm mid-strike. I don't need jutsu to handle trash like you, he growled, twisting the arm until bones cracked. The creature howled in pain. The other 2 attacked simultaneously. Naruto kicked the injured one away and faced the new threats. His body moved on muscle memory, but the unfamiliar power distribution kept throwing off his timing. A claw raked across his shoulder, drawing blood. Naruto hissed in pain and instinctively reached for the blue light on his right arm. Divide. The effect was immediate. The attacking creature stumbled, its strength suddenly halved. Naruto could feel that power transferring into him. Oh, I like that, he grinned, driving his fist into the weakened creature's face. It crumpled to the ground. The largest one paused, red eyes narrowing. Those sacred gears, impossible. No human wields both boosted gear and divine dividing. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto shot back, but I do know you're about to get your ass kicked. The creature snarled and began transforming further, limbs elongating, muscles bulging. Die, abomination. Naruto tapped the red gauntlet intentionally this time. Boost. Boost. The double power surge sent energy crackling across his skin. When the creature charged, Naruto met it head-on, their collision shaking the alley. His enhanced strength matched the monster blow for blow. Divide. Another tap to the blue light, and the creature's strength diminished again. Naruto pressed his advantage, unleashing a barrage of strikes that drove the monster back. With each hit, the creature's form destabilized further. What are you? It gasped, black blood dripping from multiple wounds. Naruto Uzumaki, he answered, landing a final devastating uppercut that sent the creature crashing into a dumpster. Remember it. The terrified couple remained huddled against the wall. The woman stared at Naruto with wide eyes. You saved us from those devils. Devils? Is that what those were? Naruto glanced at the unconscious forms, already dissolving into black mist. The man pulled his companion away. We need to go. Thank you, but, we should go. Naruto watched them hurry away, then looked down at his arms. The gauntlets had receded, leaving only faint red and blue markings on his skin. "Kurama, what exactly happened to you?" he asked aloud. "I've become something else here," the fragmented voice answered in his mind. "These are artifacts of power in this world. Sacred gears, the monsters called them. And that's good. Unknown. But I sense others with power approaching. Fast." Naruto tensed as a presence materialized at the alley entrance. A tall man with black and gold hair, wearing an elaborate coat and a curious smile. Well, the man said, stepping forward casually. "When I felt that power spike, I expected something interesting, but this is unprecedented." He studied Naruto with analytical eyes. Both Red Dragon Emperor and White Dragon Emperor powers in one vessel. Fascinating. Naruto shifted into a defensive stance. "Who are you? Another devil?" The man laughed. "Azazel, governor of the fallen angels, though currently off duty." He gestured to the dissipating remains. "Low-class devils causing trouble again. They seem to have recognized what you possess, though I doubt they fully understood it. And you do? More than most." Azazel approached, seemingly unconcerned by Naruto's defensive posture. "Those marks on your arms are 2 of the 13 Longinus, the most powerful sacred gears created by the biblical god. Specifically, you somehow possess both boosted gear and divine dividing, which host the souls of rival dragon emperors Draig and Albion." "No, that's Kurama, he's a 9-tailed fox, not a dragon." Azazel's eyebrows shot up. "Even more interesting. Your power signature isn't quite dragon, now that I look closer." He circled Naruto curiously. "You're not from this world, are you?" Naruto's stomach growled loudly, interrupting the tension. Azazel chuckled. "Hungry? Let's continue this over food. I know a great ramen place around the corner." "Ramen?" Naruto's suspicion wavered. "How do I know you're not tricking me?" "You don't," Azazel admitted easily. "But I'm offering information and food, and you need both." He turned and walked away. "Coming?" Naruto hesitated, then followed. His instincts said this strange man wasn't an immediate threat, and his stomach loudly agreed with the decision. The ramen shop was small but modern, nothing like Ichiraku but smelling deliciously familiar. Azazel ordered 2 large bowls and watched with amusement as Naruto devoured his in minutes. "Another." Naruto pushed the empty bowl forward. "Healthy appetite," Azazel noted, ordering a second bowl. "Now, while we wait, you're clearly disoriented. Different world, different rules. I'm guessing dimensional displacement, possibly through a reality tear." Naruto slurped the last broth from his bowl. "I was fighting my friend, well, he wasn't exactly being friendly, and our powers collided. There was this light, and next thing I know, I'm here with Kurama split into these gear things. Your entity, Kurama, was it, appears to have adapted to our world's metaphysical framework. Sacred gears typically contain powerful beings or souls. In this case, your companion seems to have divided itself between 2 of the most powerful gears in existence." Azazel leaned forward. "Do you have any control over them?" "Sort of. The red one makes me stronger, boosted gear, power of the Welsh dragon Draig. Doubles your power every 10 seconds. And the blue one steals my enemy's strength, divine dividing, power of the vanishing dragon Albion. Halves your opponent's power and adds it to your own." The second bowl arrived, and Naruto attacked it with equal enthusiasm. Between mouthfuls, he asked, "So these dragons, they're not in these gears anymore? Just Kurama?" Azazel frowned. "That's the puzzling part. I still sense draconic energy, but it's transformed, intermingled with your fox entity's essence. The rivalry between those dragons is legendary, they've fought for millennia. Having both powers in one host should be impossible." "I'm good at impossible," Naruto grinned. "So it seems." Azazel sipped from a small flask he produced from his coat. The bigger question is what happens now. Those devils recognized your power, which means others will. 2. You've just painted a target on your back for every power-hungry faction in this world. Naruto shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time. So what are these factions? In my world, we had the 5 great nations, hidden villages, rogue ninjas. Here, it's a bit more complicated. Azazel counted on his fingers. Devils, angels, fallen angels like myself, various pantheons of gods, yokai, heroes, magicians, and humans oblivious to most of it. We maintain an uneasy peace after millennia of conflict. And where do I fit in? That's the problem, you don't. You're an anomaly. Some will want to study you, others to control you, many to kill you. Azazel's expression grew serious. Particularly since those powers you carry upset the balance. The current Red Dragon Emperor and White Dragon Emperor will both consider you a threat or an abomination. Naruto finished his second bowl and leaned back. Great. So what's your angle? Why help me? Azazel smiled. Intellectual curiosity, primarily. You're the most interesting thing I've encountered in centuries. But also pragmatism, I'd rather have you as an informed ally than a confused enemy. So what do you suggest? You need somewhere to learn about this world, master those powers, and stay relatively safe from those who'd exploit you. Azazel considered for a moment. Given what you're hosting, I think Kyoto might be your best bet. Kyoto. Home of the yokai, supernatural creatures of Japanese folklore. Their leader, Yasaka, is a 9-tailed fox spirit. Azazel watched Naruto's expression shift to surprise. Yes, I thought that might interest you. She might have insight into your particular situation. Another 9 tails. Naruto leaned forward eagerly. How do I find her? Not so fast. The yokai are isolationist and protective of their territory. You can't just walk in and demand an audience. Azazel pulled out a pen and scribbled on a napkin. This address, go there tomorrow morning. I'll arrange transportation and a proper introduction. Naruto took the napkin, studying the unfamiliar address. Why are you helping me? Let's call it an investment in an interesting future. Azazel stood, dropping money on the table. That should cover your meal and a room at the inn next door for the night. Tomorrow, Kyoto. Tonight, rest. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and try not to use those powers unless absolutely necessary. They tend to attract attention. Left alone, Naruto stared at the dual marks on his arms. Kurama. You getting any of this? Parts, the fragmented voice replied. This world's energy is different. My consciousness is split between these dragon vessels. It's disorienting. Can you change back? Unknown. For now, we should follow the Fallen One's advice. Find this other 9 tails. Naruto nodded, pocketing the napkin with the address. The inn next door provided a small but clean room. As he lay on the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling, the enormity of his situation finally hit him. A different world. No way home. No friends. No Konoha. Some hero I turned out to be, he muttered, turning on his side. Sorry, everyone. Looks like I won't be becoming Hokage after all. Sleep claimed him eventually, dreams filled with clashing dragons and 9-tailed foxes dancing in red and blue fire. Morning arrived with harsh sunlight through thin curtains. Naruto jolted awake, momentarily disoriented before remembering the previous day's events. Not a dream, huh? He muttered, examining the faint marks on his arms. A quick check confirmed Kurama's fragmented consciousness still split between the 2 powers. After a quick wash in the strange bathroom fixtures, Naruto headed out. The address Azazel provided led to a nondescript office building several blocks away. Inside, a woman at the reception desk looked up at his approach. "Naruto Uzumaki," she asked before he could speak. "That's me. Governor Azazel left this for you." She handed him a package and a train ticket. "The bullet train to Kyoto leaves in 1 hour from Tokyo Station. Platform 14. The package contained new clothes, simple jeans, t-shirt, jacket, and a wallet with local currency. A note read, "Blend in. Your contact in Kyoto will find you." Tokyo Station bustled with more people than Naruto had ever seen in one place. The bullet train turned out to be a sleek, impossibly fast vehicle that shot through the countryside at speeds that made him grip his seat in amazement. 2 hours later, Kyoto welcomed him with a different energy than Tokyo. Where Tokyo felt chaotically modern, Kyoto balanced the new with ancient dignity. Traditional buildings stood alongside modern structures, with mountains rising in the distance. As Naruto wandered from the station, the hair on his neck stood up. He was being watched. Casually changing direction, he headed down a less crowded side street, then another, until reaching a small park. "I know you're following me," he called out, turning to face an empty space between 2 trees. "Show yourself." The air shimmered, and a young woman appeared. She wore a traditional kimono, her features delicate but her eyes sharp and assessing. Most notably, 2 furry ears protruded from her head, and behind her swished a single fox tail. "You noticed me," she said, surprise evident in her voice. "Most humans can't detect our presence." "I'm not most humans," Naruto replied. "And you're not fully hiding your chakra, or whatever you call it here." The fox woman circled him curiously. "You're the anomaly Lord Azazel contacted us about. The one with the impossible sacred gears. Name's Naruto Uzumaki." He grinned, extending a hand. "And you are?" "Kuzunoha, attendant to Lady Yasaka." She ignored his hand. "I'm to escort you to our realm, but first," she gestured, and a glowing circle appeared beneath them. "I must verify you're not a threat." The circle brightened, energy coursing up Naruto's body. The marks on his arms flared in response, red and blue light pushing back against the examination. Kuzunoha's eyes widened. "Such power, but it's," Kitsune touched. "How is that possible?" "Long story. Can we skip to the part where you take me to Yasaka?" The fox woman hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me closely. The path to our realm is hidden from human eyes." She led him through winding streets, past ancient shrines and into thickening woods that shouldn't have existed in the middle of a city. The air changed, becoming charged with energy that reminded Naruto of natural chakra. "We're crossing the boundary," Kuzunoha explained as reality seemed to ripple around them. "Few outsiders are permitted this access." The woods opened to reveal a hidden Kyoto, one where human buildings mingled with impossible structures. Beings of all descriptions moved through streets, some human appearing. Others with animal features, and some completely inhuman. "Welcome to Yokai Kyoto," Kuzunoha said. "The true capital of supernatural Japan." Naruto stared in wonder. "This is amazing. It's like the land of toads, but with way more variety." "Land of, never mind. Lady Yasaka awaits at the palace." She pointed to a magnificent structure rising from the city's center, golden roofs gleaming in sunlight. As they approached the palace gates, Naruto felt a surge of powerful energy from within, warm, ancient, and distinctly fox-like. His own marks responded, pulsing gently. "She's like me," Kurama's voice whispered in his mind. "A Ninetales. Not the same, but familiar." Guards with various yokai features stood aside for Kuzunoha, eyeing Naruto suspiciously. Inside, the palace combined traditional Japanese architecture with otherworldly elements, gardens where plants moved with apparent consciousness, halls where perspective seemed optional. They reached an inner courtyard where a ceremony appeared to be in progress. Yokai of various ranks knelt in concentric circles around a central platform. Upon it stood a figure that made Naruto freeze in place. A woman of extraordinary beauty, her golden hair flowing down her back, dressed in an elaborate ceremonial kimono. Behind her swayed 9 magnificent golden fox tails, and atop her head perked 2 matching ears. Her eyes, currently closed in concentration, were framed by a face that combined regal authority with timeless grace. Lady Yasaka performs the seasonal blessing, Kuzunoha whispered. We must wait. Naruto couldn't have moved if he wanted to. The energy radiating from Yasaka resonated with something deep within him, within Kurama. It was like finding a piece of home in this alien world. As if sensing his presence, Yasaka's eyes opened mid-ceremony, immediately finding Naruto among the onlookers. Golden irises widened slightly, her concentration visibly disturbed for a fraction of a second before she composed herself and continued the ritual. Energy coalesced above the gathering, forming into glowing symbols that dispersed throughout the courtyard in a shower of golden light. The assembled yokai bowed deeply as Yasaka completed the final gestures. The blessing is complete, she announced, her voice musical yet commanding. May the barrier remain strong for another season. As the gathering dispersed, Yasaka descended from the platform. Several advisors approached her with urgent whispers, pointing discreetly toward Naruto. She silenced them with a gentle gesture and walked directly toward him. Up close, her power was even more palpable, ancient, controlled, and vast. Naruto felt Kurama stirring more actively in response. You are the one Azazel mentioned, she said, studying him intently. The impossible vessel. Naruto managed a respectful bow. Naruto Uzumaki, from Konohagakure. Though I guess that doesn't mean anything here. And yet, you carry something very familiar. Yasaka reached out, her hand stopping just short of touching his chest. May I? Naruto nodded, and her fingers gently pressed against his heart. The contact sent a jolt through his system, the marks on his arms flaring brightly. In his mindscape, Kurama surged forward. Yasaka, Kurama's voice emerged from Naruto's mouth, startling both of them. Nine-tailed yokai queen. Your reputation reaches even across dimensions. Yasaka stepped back, 9 tails fanning out defensively. Who addresses me? Naruto blinked, regaining control. Sorry about that. That was Kurama, the 9-tailed fox sealed inside me. Or at least, he was before we got here and he turned into these. He held up his marked arms. Impossible, one of Yasaka's advisors hissed. He contains a kitsune spirit within dragon vessels. Not impossible, Yasaka corrected, her composure returning. Simply unprecedented. Her gaze returned to Naruto. You and your fox spirit are far from home, Naruto Uzumaki. Your arrival was felt by many, a tear between worlds is no small event. Can you help us get back? Yasaka's expression softened. With something like sympathy. That may not be possible. Dimensional travel is rare and dangerous. The fact that you survived at all is remarkable. Naruto's shoulders slumped. So I'm stuck here. For now. Yasaka glanced at the darkening sky. Night approaches, and we have much to discuss. You will be my guest at the palace while we determine what your arrival means for the yokai and the wider supernatural world. As if on cue, a distant explosion rocked the city, followed by screams and flares of combat magic. Palace guards rushed to the balconies, pointing toward smoke rising from the eastern quarter. We're under attack, a guard shouted. The barrier is breached in Sector 7. Yasaka turned sharply. Impossible. The blessing just renewed the barriers. Another explosion, closer this time. Naruto's battle instincts kicked in immediately. Whatever's happening, standing around talking won't help. I'm going to check it out. Wait, Yasaka began, but Naruto was already moving, leaping to a balcony and surveying the chaos below. Black-robed figures moved through the streets, engaging yokai defenders. Their movements were coordinated, their attacks focused on specific targets rather than random destruction. This isn't a full invasion, Naruto noted as Yasaka joined him on the balcony. It's a raid. They're after something specific. Yasaka's expression darkened. Or someone. Her gaze met his. Your arrival and this attack cannot be coincidence. Then let me help fix it, Naruto replied, the marks on his arms beginning to glow. Time to see what these new powers can really do. Without waiting for permission, Naruto vaulted over the railing, channeling power to his legs for a controlled descent to the street below. The red gear activated mid-jump. Boost. He landed with enough force to crack the pavement, immediately drawing the attention of 3 attackers. They wore matching emblems on their robes, a horizon line with a setting sun. There, one shouted. The anomaly. Lady Rhea wants him alive. They rushed Naruto simultaneously, weapons charged with crackling energy. Naruto met the first with a devastating counter, his boosted strength sending the attacker flying through a wall. The second managed to nick his arm with an energy blade before Naruto activated Divine Dividing. Divide. The attacker stumbled as his strength was halved, giving Naruto the opening to deliver a knockout blow. The third hesitated, then spoke into a communication device. Target confirmed at the palace perimeter. Requesting extraction team, Naruto silenced him with a swift kick to the head. Sorry, no backup for you. More explosions rocked the eastern quarter. From his position, Naruto could see yokai defenders being overwhelmed by the coordinated assault. These weren't random devils like the ones in Tokyo, these attackers moved with military precision. A massive energy signature caught his attention. Yasaka had joined the battle, her kimono discarded for battle garments, 9 tails glowing with foxfire as she engaged multiple high-level opponents simultaneously. Naruto fought his way toward her position, using his new powers in combination with his ninja training. Each boost multiplied his strength, speed, and reflexes, while strategic divide weakened key opponents and replenished his energy reserves. Whoever these guys are, they came prepared for yokai defenses, he noted, watching how the attackers countered foxfire with specialized shields. But they weren't expecting me. The battle intensified as Naruto reached the main conflict zone. Yasaka fought brilliantly, her 9 tails wielding foxfire with devastating precision, but she was clearly holding back to avoid damaging the city and her people. Yasaka. Naruto called, dispatching 2 attackers with rapid strikes. They're targeting me. I should draw them away from the city. They want us both, she replied, gracefully sidestepping an energy blast. These are Twilight Horizon operatives, human extremists with supernatural resources. They've been monitoring dimensional anomalies. Then let's give them something to really monitor, Naruto grinned, activating both gears simultaneously. Boost. Divide. The dual activation created a resonance effect, red and blue energy swirling around Naruto in a chromatic storm. The attackers hesitated, sensing the power buildup. Fall back, their commander ordered. Energy readings are off the charts. Naruto focused the chaotic energy, channeling it into a compressed sphere between his hands, not quite a Rasengan, but inspired by it. The orb pulsed with alternating red and blue light. Let's see what this does, Naruto muttered, hurling the sphere toward the largest concentration of enemies. The impact was spectacular, a shockwave of harmonic energy that selectively targeted the Twilight Horizon operatives while leaving buildings and yokai untouched. The attackers were thrown backward, their weapons and shields shorting out on contact with the energy. Yasaka capitalized on the opening, weaving an intricate pattern with her tails that created a golden net over the fallen enemies, binding them in place. Your power. She began, looking at Naruto with new respect. It's unrefined but extraordinary. Thanks, Naruto grinned, then winced as fatigue suddenly hit him. Though it takes a lot out of me still. A slow clap echoed from above. On a nearby rooftop stood a figure in elaborate robes, face hidden behind an ornate mask. Unlike the other attackers, this one radiated power comparable to Yasaka's own. Most impressive, Dimensional Walker, the figure called down, voice distorted by the mask. Twilight Horizon welcomes such potential. Your abilities would be better served with us than these, primitive creatures. Yasaka stepped forward, her tails bristling with barely contained power. Ria Twilight. You dare attack my domain? I dare much more than that, Fox Queen. The masked figure, Ria, gestured, and a swirling portal opened behind her. Today was merely an assessment. Soon, we'll return for both the dimensional anomaly and your power. You'll try, Naruto shot back, preparing another energy sphere despite his fatigue. Save your strength, young one. You'll need it. Ria stepped backward into the portal. The balance of power shifts. Old gods fall, new gods rise. Choose your side wisely. The portal closed, and the remaining attackers teleported away in flashes of light, leaving only those trapped by Yasaka's binding technique. As yokai forces secured the area and tended to the wounded, Yasaka turned to Naruto. It seems you've been noticed by dangerous forces already. Story of my life, Naruto replied, fighting to stay on his feet as the adrenaline wore off. Though usually I know why people are after me. Twilight Horizon seeks power through forbidden means, Yasaka explained, guiding him back toward the palace. Your unique abilities, and the dimensional energies still lingering around you, represent a prize they cannot resist. And what do you want from me? Naruto asked directly. Yasaka paused, considering her answer carefully. Understanding. Your presence affects the balance of power in this world. Whether threat or ally remains to be seen. Her golden eyes softened slightly. But you fought to protect my people without hesitation. That suggests your character, at least, is worthy of trust. As they reached the palace grounds, Naruto stumbled, the extended use of unfamiliar powers finally taking its toll. Yasaka caught him with surprising strength, her tails instinctively curling around him supportively. Rest now, she commanded gently. Tomorrow, we begin understanding what you truly are, and what you might become in this world. The last thing Naruto registered before exhaustion claimed him was the surprising warmth of 9 tails wrapping around him, and the resonant purr of Kurama's fragmented consciousness responding to the touch of another 9 tails. For the first time since arriving in this strange new world, something felt right. Naruto woke to sunlight filtering through paper screens and the distant sound of a waterfall. The room was traditionally Japanese, with tatami floors and minimalist furnishings. His torn clothes had been replaced with a simple yukata laid neatly beside the futon. Finally awake, a familiar voice observed. Naruto turned to find Kuzunoha kneeling by the door, her single tail swishing impatiently. How long was I out? He asked, sitting up cautiously. Nearly 18 hours. Lady Yasaka said your energy was dangerously depleted. Naruto examined his arms, finding the marks dormant but still visible. Kurama. You there? Present, the fox replied, his mental voice stronger than before. This place, it restores us. Fox energy permeates everything. Lady Yasaka requests your presence when you're ready, Kuzunoha continued, rising gracefully. Clothing more suited to your style has been provided. She indicated a chest near the wall. The guards will escort you to the central gardens. After she departed, Naruto explored the chest to find clothing similar to his ninja gear, orange and black, durable yet flexible, though adapted to local style. The familiar colors brought both comfort and a pang of homesickness. At least some things don't change, he muttered, dressing quickly. The palace was busy with reconstruction efforts following the attack. Guards eyed Naruto with mixed expressions, some wary, others respectful after witnessing his battle against Twilight Horizon. They led him through winding corridors to a secluded garden where Yasaka waited beside a koi pond. Without her formal attire, Yasaka appeared younger, though no less regal. Her 9 tails moved with unconscious grace, occasionally dipping into the water to amuse the fish. She wore a simpler kimono, her golden hair partially braided with ornamental kanzashi. "Naruto Uzumaki," she greeted without turning. "Your strength returns." "Yeah, I feel pretty good. This place has great energy." "It should. You stand in the heart of Kitsune power in this world." Now she turned, golden eyes assessing him. "Your fox spirit responds to it. I felt him stir when you approached." Naruto nodded. "Kurama says this place restores us. I think he likes it here." "And you?" Yasaka gestured for him to join her by the pond. "What does the human vessel think of our realm?" "It's amazing," Naruto admitted honestly. "Beautiful in a way that reminds me of home, but still totally different." He knelt beside her, watching the fish. "But I'm guessing you didn't invite me here to talk about the scenery." Yasaka smiled slightly. "Direct. I appreciate that." She traced patterns in the water with a graceful finger. "Yesterday's attack confirmed what I suspected. Your arrival has upset the balance of power in the supernatural world." Twilight. Horizon moved faster than anticipated, but others will follow, devils, angels, gods, all curious about the being who carries both heavenly dragons yet feels like a kitsune. "I'm not looking to upset anybody's balance," Naruto said. "I just want to understand these powers and figure out if there's a way home. Those goals may be more aligned than separate." Yasaka produced a small orb that glowed with swirling energy. "This contains the essence we extracted from the portal residue left by Rhea Twilight. It matches the dimensional signature that clings to you." Naruto leaned closer, watching the swirling patterns. "You think they know how to create portals between worlds? That they could send me back?" "Possibly. Twilight Horizon has invested heavily in dimensional research. Their leader, Rhea, is obsessed with breaking barriers between realities." Yasaka's expression darkened. "But their methods are corrupt, their goals dangerous. They don't seek knowledge for its own sake, but power at any cost. So I need to beat the portal knowledge out of them," Naruto concluded. "Wouldn't be the first time I've had to knock sense into someone." Yasaka's tail swished with something like amusement. "Your confidence is refreshing, if perhaps premature. Rhea Twilight commands resources and allies across multiple factions. Even I must move carefully against them." "Then we work together," Naruto suggested immediately. "You know this world, I know how to fight impossible odds. Seems like a good match." Yasaka studied him thoughtfully. "You offer alliance very quickly to someone you've just met." "I'm a good judge of character," Naruto replied with a shrug. "Plus, we both have the whole fox thing going on. That's got to count for something, right?" For the first time, Yasaka laughed, a musical sound that made the garden seem brighter. "Indeed it does." "Very well, Naruto Uzumaki. A provisional alliance, while we determine whether Twilight Horizon can provide the answers you seek." "Great. So what's the first step?" "Training," Yasaka replied firmly. "Those sacred gears you carry, you barely tap their potential. If you're to face Rhea and her forces, you must achieve greater harmony with your powers. And you can help with that?" "I can help with the fox aspect. For the dragon elements." She rose smoothly, tails fanning behind her. "I've requested assistance from someone with more direct experience." As if on cue, a tremendous crash shook the garden as something massive landed beyond the trees. Guards rushed forward but stopped at Yasaka's raised hand. "Right on time," she murmured. Through the disturbed foliage strode a figure that made Naruto instantly tense. A young man with silver-white hair and cold blue eyes, wearing a contemporary outfit that somehow managed to look regal. The power radiating from him felt jarringly familiar, specifically, like the blue light on Naruto's right arm. "So this is the anomaly," the newcomer stated, his assessing gaze locked on Naruto. "The thief who somehow carries Albion's power." "Naruto Uzumaki," Yasaka performed the introduction, "meet Vala Lucifer, the current White Dragon Emperor and host of the Divine Dividing Sacred Gear. She turned to Naruto. Or rather, the one who should be its only host. Valis circled Naruto, his expression shifting between curiosity and barely suppressed hostility. Impossible. Divine dividing cannot exist in two vessels simultaneously. And yet, here we are, Naruto replied, refusing to be intimidated. Look, I didn't ask for these powers. They're just what happened to Kurama when we crossed dimensions. Kurama? My nine-tailed fox partner. He transformed when we arrived here. Valis stopped circling, his eyes narrowing. Show me. Naruto focused, calling on the blue light. The mark on his right arm glowed, energy patterns spreading across his skin until ethereal blue wings formed at his back. Divine dividing, the wings pulsed with light that wasn't purely draconic, threads of orange-red energy wove through the blue-white, creating a hybrid pattern. Fascinating, Valis murmured, his own wings manifesting in response, pure blue-white, without the fox energy contamination. It's Albion's power, but not Albion himself. Not exactly, Kurama's voice emerged from the wings. I adapted to this world structure. The dragon's power framework was compatible. Valis took a step back, genuinely surprised. The fox speaks through the sacred gear. He does that, Naruto confirmed. Though usually with more insults. Yasaka observed the interaction with keen interest. This confirms my theory. Your fox spirit hasn't replaced the dragons, it's adapted to their power signatures while maintaining its own identity. Which means he could potentially access abilities beyond what the typical gear users can achieve, Valis concluded, his initial hostility shifting to strategic calculation. If he survives the training. I've survived worse, Naruto shot back. So you're going to help me? I'm going to test you, Valis corrected. Yasaka suggests you might be valuable against Twilight Horizon. I have my own reasons for opposing them. A predatory smile crossed his face. Besides, I'm curious what a dimensional traveler with a bastardized version of my power can do. Naruto matched his smile with equal intensity. Just tell me when and where. I'm always up for a good fight. Now, Valis replied simply. There's a training ground beyond the eastern ridge. No fox magic, no ninja techniques, just sacred gear against sacred gear. Yasaka intervened smoothly. Perhaps allow our guest to finish his recovery first. Tomorrow would be more appropriate. Valis seemed ready to object, but eventually inclined his head respectfully to Yasaka. Tomorrow, then. Don't disappoint me, Uzumaki. With that, he activated his wings fully and shot upward, disappearing over the palace walls. Is he always that intense? Naruto asked once Valis was gone. Valis Lucifer lives for battle against worthy opponents, Yasaka explained. Having someone else possess his power is both a front and irresistible challenge. Great. Another Sasuke, Naruto muttered. Before you face him, you should understand more about the powers you carry. Yasaka gestured for Naruto to follow her deeper into the gardens. The original dragons, Draig and Albion, fought so destructively that they threatened all factions. The biblical god sealed them into the sacred gear system as punishment. They reached a small pavilion where scrolls and ancient books were arranged on a low table. Yasaka knelt gracefully, arranging her tails comfortably behind her. Traditionally, the Red Dragon Emperor and White Dragon Emperor are fated to fight whenever they emerge, she continued as Naruto sat opposite her. Their powers are fundamentally opposed, one multiplies strength, the other divides and conquers. For a single vessel to hold both violates cosmic law. Story of my life, Naruto replied with a shrug. Breaking rules I didn't even know existed. Indeed. Yasaka unrolled a scroll depicting two dragons in eternal combat. What makes your case unique is that these powers have been filtered through your fox spirit. It's created something new, a hybrid power that might access both abilities without the traditional limitations. Like what limitations? The Juggernaut Curse, 4-1. Both dragon emperors eventually lose themselves to the dragon's will, becoming berserkers of destruction. Naruto thought of his early days with Kurama, the rage-filled transformations that had nearly consumed him. Been there, handled that. Kurama and I are partners now. Yasaka's eyes widened slightly. You tamed a nine-tailed fox spirit? Not tamed. Befriended. Naruto grinned. Turns out, even demon foxes just need someone to acknowledge their pain and work through it with them. For a moment, something vulnerable flashed across Yasaka's regal features, so quickly Naruto almost missed it. A rare perspective, she said carefully. Most see beings like us as powers to be controlled, not equals to be understood. Their loss, Naruto replied simply. So what's the plan? I train with you for the fox stuff, with Valley for the dragon stuff, then we go after Twilight Horizon. Essentially, though perhaps with more strategy than your summary suggests. Yasaka rose, her tails fanning behind her. Tonight, you'll join me for the purification ritual. It will help harmonize your fragmented energies and prepare you for tomorrow's challenge. Ritual? I'm not much for fancy ceremonies. This isn't about ceremony, Yasaka corrected. It's about survival. Your dual powers are inherently unstable. Without proper harmonization, they could tear you apart from within. That got Naruto's attention. Yeah, okay. Ritual sounds good. Yasaka nodded approvingly. For now, explore the palace grounds. Familiarize yourself with our realm. Kuzunoha will ensure your needs are met and bring you to the sacred spring at moonrise. As she turned to leave, Naruto called after her. Hey, Yasaka. Thanks for helping me. Not many would go this far for a stranger who crashed into their world. She paused, looking back over her shoulder. Perhaps I see something of myself in you, Naruto Uzumaki. Or perhaps I simply recognize the value of an ally with your particular talents. With that cryptic response, she glided away, leaving Naruto to wonder exactly what she meant. The rest of the day passed quickly as Naruto explored the yokai palace. The grounds contained wonders beyond anything in the 5 nations, gardens where plants responded to emotions, libraries with scrolls that read themselves aloud, training halls where gravity and even time could be manipulated. Throughout his explorations, Naruto noticed yokai of all descriptions watching him with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, and awe. Word of his battle against Twilight Horizon had spread, along with rumors about his unique powers. You're quite the celebrity, Kuzunoha noted when she found him practicing basic chakra control exercises by a fountain. The first human to wield dual sacred gears, both housing fragments of a 9-tailed fox spirit from another dimension. It's rather unprecedented. I get that a lot, Naruto replied, maintaining his focus on the leaf balanced on his forehead. Being unprecedented, I mean. Kuzunoha's single tail swished with interest. Lady Yasaka rarely takes such personal interest in outsiders. Whatever she senses in you must be significant. Before Naruto could respond, a small figure darted from behind a nearby tree and crashed directly into him, sending the leaf flying. Gotcha, a childish voice proclaimed triumphantly. Naruto found himself facing a young girl with golden hair and fox ears, a single fluffy tail wagging excitedly behind her. Her features resembled a miniature version of Yasaka's. Konu. Kuzunoha scolded. You were instructed to remain in your studies. But I wanted to meet the dimension jumper, the child protested, staring up at Naruto with undisguised fascination. Is it true you have a 9-tails inside you? Can I see it? Does it talk? Does it like playing games? Lady Konu, Kuzunoha began firmly, this is inappropriate, it's fine, Naruto laughed, genuinely amused by the child's enthusiasm. I'm Naruto. And yes, Kurama is a 9-tailed fox, though he's a bit grumpy and doesn't really play games. I heard that, Kurama grumbled in his mind. Is this Yasaka's daughter? Naruto asked Kuzunoha, who nodded with resigned exasperation. I'm Kunu, the girl announced proudly. Future leader of the Kyoto yokai. And you're staying in our palace because you fought the bad humans with Mama. Something like that, Naruto agreed. Your mom is pretty amazing, you know. Kunu beamed. She's the strongest yokai ever. But she's always busy with boring leader stuff. The child's expression turned conspiratorial. Do you want to see my secret place? I found a way into the sacred spring even when it's not ritual time. Kunu. Kuzunoha looked scandalized. That area is forbidden outside of ceremonial use. Actually, Naruto interjected, I'm supposed to go there tonight for some purification thing with your mom. So maybe we should follow the rules, yeah. Kunu pouted momentarily, then brightened. Mama's doing a special ritual for you. She never does that for visitors. The young fox tilted her head curiously. She must really like you. Lady Kunu, your tutor is searching everywhere, Kuzunoha interrupted firmly. We must return you to your lessons immediately. With obvious reluctance, Kunu allowed herself to be led away, looking back to wave enthusiastically at Naruto. I'll find you tomorrow. You can tell me all about your world. As they disappeared into the palace, Naruto found himself smiling. Despite the danger and disorientation of his situation, moments like these reminded him of the connections that made any world feel like home. You're getting attached, Kurama observed in his mind. Unwise if we intend to return to our world. Just being friendly, Naruto replied silently. Besides, we don't even know if going back is possible. The Fox Queen knows more than she reveals, Kurama rumbled. I sense ancient knowledge in her. Power beyond her 9 tails. You think she's hiding something? All leaders hide something, Kit. The question is whether her secrets help or harm us. Further contemplation was interrupted as evening fell and palace servants arrived to escort Naruto to the sacred spring. They provided ceremonial robes of white and silver, embroidered with subtle patterns that seemed to shift in the lamplight. The sacred spring lay deep beneath the palace, accessed through stone passages that grew increasingly warm and humid as they descended. The walls glowed with foxfire, illuminating carvings that told the history of Kitsune in this world, their origins, powers, and covenant with the land. Finally, the passage opened into a vast cavern where a steaming pool dominated the center. The water glowed with ethereal blue-gold light, fed by an underground spring that bubbled up through crystal formations. Around the pool's edge, 9 stone fox statues stood guard, their eyes inlaid with amber that caught the light. Yasaka waited beside the pool, dressed in ritual white, her 9 tails fanned majestically behind her. Without her usual elaborate robes and ornaments, she appeared both more approachable and somehow more otherworldly, a spirit given form rather than merely a powerful yokai. Naruto Uzumaki, she greeted formally. Are you prepared to harmonize the chaos within you? Ready as I'll ever be, he replied, approaching the pool's edge. What exactly does this ritual involve? Immersion in the sacred waters, which will resonate with both fox and dragon energies, Yasaka explained, gesturing to the glowing pool. I will guide the process, helping your fragmented parts find balance. Sounds simple enough. Yasaka's lips curved slightly. The process is straightforward. The experience may be less so. These waters reveal truth, about powers, yes, but also about the self. Truth doesn't scare me, Naruto said confidently. We shall see. Yasaka stepped into the pool, the water swirling around her as if alive. Join me. Naruto removed his outer robe, keeping only the thin ritual undergarment, and followed her into the water. The effect was immediate and intense, energy rushed through him, both soothing and electrifying, as if every cell was being examined and recalibrated. Whoa, he gasped, steadying himself as the water reached his chest. Focus, Yasaka instructed, moving to stand before him. Call forth both powers simultaneously. Naruto concentrated, summoning the red and blue energies from both arms. The marks glowed beneath the water, sending colored light rippling across the cavern walls. Boost. Divide. The dual activation created the now familiar resonance, but instead of chaotic interference, the sacred water seemed to channel the energies into compatible streams. Yasaka raised her hands, her 9 tails creating a circle around them both. Now, seek the consciousness within, she commanded softly. Find your fox spirit across its divided existence. Naruto closed his eyes, following the familiar path to his mindscape. But instead of the usual void, he found himself in the cavern still, yet transformed, infinitely larger, the water extending to a horizon where red and blue skies met. In one direction, a massive red dragon lay partially submerged. In the other, a white dragon mirrored its position. Between them, stretching across both territories, lay Kurama, his enormous form split down the middle, one half glowing red, the other blue. Kit, Kurama's voice echoed across the mindscape. This place, it's revealing the truth of our condition. Can you be fixed? Naruto asked, approaching the divided fox. Become whole again? Not fixed, came Yasaka's voice as her form appeared beside him, translucent yet powerful. Transformed. What was cannot be again. What will be must find new harmony. The dragon stirred, regarding Naruto with ancient eyes. So this is our new vessel, the red one rumbled. Not my chosen, yet carrying my essence. A curious anomaly, the white dragon agreed. Neither fully human nor properly draconic. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he declared confidently. And Kurama is my partner. We didn't ask for your powers, but we've got them now. So either help us figure this out or get out of our way. The dragons exchanged glances, then did something unexpected, they laughed, the sound shaking the mindscape. Courage or foolishness, the red dragon, Draig, commented. Perhaps both. Not unlike my previous vessels. He carries your impulsiveness, Draig, the white dragon, Albion, observed. Yet also something of my analytical nature. An interesting balance. Yasaka moved forward, her spiritual form growing more defined. The question remains, will you accept this arrangement? Will you aid this vessel in harmonizing your opposed natures? The dragons considered, their ancient eyes unreadable. The alternative is continued fragmentation, Draig finally replied. Uncomfortable for all involved. Agreed, Albion nodded. Though unprecedented, adaptation seems the wiser course. They both turned their gaze to Kurama, whose divided form still stretched between them. Fox spirit, Draig addressed him. You who have claimed our mantles, what say you to this arrangement? Kurama's massive eyes opened fully, one red, one blue, both burning with defiant pride. I say this boy has changed the impossible before, Kurama growled. Together, we've rewritten destiny in our world. We can do it again in this one. The dragons seemed satisfied with this response. In unison, they lowered their massive heads to touch Kurama's divided form. Where they connected, energy flowed, red and blue streams intertwining, creating a new pattern that neither destroyed nor fully merged. The original colors. Balance, Yasaka intoned, her tails weaving complex patterns that guided the energy flow. Not elimination of difference, but harmony through it. The process intensified, light building until Naruto had to shield his eyes. When he could see again, Kurama's form had changed, still massive, still a 9-tailed fox, but now with a body that shimmered with alternating red and blue energy patterns that somehow complemented rather than conflicted. Well, Kurama rumbled, flexing his newly harmonized form. This is different. The mindscape began to fade, the dragons withdrawing to the horizons, their forms becoming indistinct but their presences remaining as subtle influences rather than competing forces. Remember, vessel, Draig's voice echoed as reality reasserted itself. Balance is not stasis. It is dynamic, ever-shifting. When you face my current wielder tomorrow, Albion added, show him the true meaning of dividing power. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself still in the sacred pool, Yasaka's hands gently supporting him as the water's glow subsided to a gentle luminescence. "You succeeded," she said, satisfaction evident in her voice. "The harmonization is complete." Naruto looked down at his arms. The marks remained, but they'd changed. Instead of separate red and blue symbols, a new pattern had formed, intertwining elements of both in a balanced design. "I feel different," he said, flexing his fingers as new energy coursed through them. "Lighter but stronger. The opposing forces no longer fight within you," Yasaka explained, stepping back. "They remain distinct, but now flow together rather than against each other." "Kit," Kurama's voice was clearer than it had been since their arrival. "I can access both power systems now. We've created something new." "Something new," Naruto repeated, studying the transformed marks. "What do we call it?" Yasaka considered, her golden eyes reflecting the pool's light. "In our traditions, when opposing forces achieve perfect harmony, we call it balance breaker," Naruto finished, the term rising instinctively to his mind. "That's what this is, isn't it? A new kind of balance breaker." She nodded. "Though unprecedented in its dual nature. Tomorrow, when you face Vala Lucifer, you'll discover what this new balance can truly achieve." As they emerged from the pool, Naruto felt more centered than he had since arriving in this world. The chaotic energies that had threatened to tear him apart now flowed in coordinated patterns, responsive rather than reactive. "Thank you," he said sincerely as servants provided dry robes. "I couldn't have figured this out without you." "Your gratitude is noted," Yasaka replied, her formal tone returning now that the ritual was complete. "But remember, harmonization is only the beginning. Mastery requires practice, focus, and trial. And tomorrow's trial is fighting the actual White Dragon Emperor," Naruto grinned. "No pressure. Vala Lucifer is dangerous," Yasaka cautioned. "Brilliant, powerful, and utterly focused on becoming the strongest being in existence. Do not underestimate him." "I never underestimate my opponents," Naruto replied. "But I don't back down from them either." Something like approval flickered in Yasaka's golden eyes. "Rest well, Naruto Uzumaki. Tomorrow will test everything you've gained tonight." As she glided away, her 9 tails swaying with hypnotic grace, Naruto found himself watching her departure longer than strictly necessary. There was something compelling about the yokai queen, a combination of power, wisdom, and carefully hidden vulnerability that resonated with him. "Careful, Kit," Kurama's voice held amusement. "Your interest is showing." "Shut up," Naruto muttered, heading toward his quarters. "I'm just grateful for her help." "If you say so," Kurama replied skeptically. "Though I notice your fox appreciation seems specific to the 9-tailed variety." Naruto ignored the comment, but couldn't entirely suppress a smile as he prepared for what promised to be an eventful tomorrow. Chapter 2, Convergence. Dawn painted Kyoto's yokai realm in shades of gold and amber. Naruto stood on the training ground's edge, watching the sunrise while stretching muscles that felt different after last night's ritual. Balanced. Harmonized. Ready for this? Kurama asked, his voice clearer than it had been since their arrival. "Born ready," Naruto replied, examining the new intertwined marks on his arms. "Let's see what this balanced stuff can really do." The training ground sprawled across a mountain plateau beyond the palace, an expansive space bordered by ancient trees and protected by barrier spells that shimmered faintly in the morning light. Valley arrived exactly as the sun cleared the horizon, descending from the sky in a flash of blue-white wings. He landed with casual grace, his expression calculating as he assessed Naruto. "You look different," Valley noted immediately. "The Fox Queen's ritual worked, I see." "You could say that." Naruto flexed his hands, feeling the harmonized power humming beneath his skin. "Ready when you are." Valley smirked. "Eager to lose?" "Admirable." He shed his jacket, revealing a lean, combat-ready frame. Rules are simple, sacred gears only, no lethal force. Fight ends when one cannot continue or surrenders. Works for me. A small audience had gathered at a safe distance, Yasaka, several advisors, and palace guards curious to witness this unprecedented match. Kunu had somehow escaped her handlers to perch excitedly on a boulder, waving enthusiastically at Naruto. Yasaka stepped forward between them, her golden eyes serious. This contest will test capabilities, not determine worth. Remember that both of you serve greater purposes than your pride. Her gaze lingered on Valley, who inclined his head slightly in acknowledgement. Begin when ready, she said, stepping back to a safe distance. Valley didn't waste time on further conversation. Blue-white wings erupted from his back as he surged forward with blinding speed. Divide. The attack came faster than Naruto expected, Valley's hand connecting with his shoulder before he could fully react. Instantly, Naruto felt half his energy drain away, flowing into his opponent. Too slow, Valley taunted, following with a kick that sent Naruto skidding across the ground. Naruto rolled to his feet, adapting quickly. Just warming up. He activated his own power, the new balanced marks glowing as he called on the Red Dragon's ability. Boost. Energy surged, replenishing what was taken and then doubling it. Naruto charged forward, matching Valley's speed this time. Their fists collided with a shockwave that cracked the ground beneath them. Interesting, Valley commented, breaking away. You compensate for division with boost. But how long can you maintain that cycle? Instead of answering, Naruto activated both powers simultaneously, something that would have been impossible before the harmonization. Boost. Divide. The dual activation created a unique effect. Naruto's strength doubled while a dividing field formed around him, ready to have any incoming attack. Valley's eyes widened marginally. Simultaneous activation. That shouldn't be possible. He unleashed a barrage of energy blasts from his wings, testing the divide field. Each projectile weakened as it entered the field, arriving with half its original force. Naruto grinned, charging through the weakened barrage. My turn. He closed distance rapidly, his boosted strength behind every strike. Valley blocked expertly but was clearly surprised by the force behind each blow. You fight like no sacred gear user I've encountered, Valley observed, matching Naruto's assault with his own. No formal stance, unpredictable movements. Ninja training, Naruto replied, ducking under a punch and landing a solid hit to Valley's ribs. We're big on the unexpected. The exchange intensified, both fighters accelerating as they activated their powers repeatedly. Valley's technical mastery was evident, he used divine dividing with practiced precision, each move calculated for maximum efficiency. Naruto countered with unorthodox combinations and battle instincts honed through countless life-or-death fights. Where Valley was technical, Naruto was creative, where Valley was precise, Naruto was unpredictable. After several minutes of high-speed combat, they separated, both breathing harder but eyes alight with battle excitement. You're holding back, Valley accused, a hint of irritation in his voice. Show me your balance breaker. Still figuring it out, Naruto admitted. But if you insist. He focused inward, connecting with the harmonized Kurama. After the ritual, accessing both powers felt natural, like breathing rather than forcing. The marks on his arms expanded, patterns spreading across his body. Balance breaker. The activation was different from anything Valley had seen before. Instead of armor forming, Naruto's body glowed with interwoven red and blue energy. 9 ethereal tails of light materialized behind him, alternating red and blue, while a partial mask shaped like a fox with dragon elements formed over his face. What is this? Valley demanded, genuinely surprised. This isn't scale mail. Something new, Naruto replied, his voice overlaid with Kurama's deeper tones. Let's call it harmonizing sage. Yasaka leaned forward from her observation point, golden eyes wide with interest. The foxfire integrates with dragon energy, she murmured to her advisors. Unprecedented. Naruto vanished from view, reappearing behind Valley with speed that surpassed even the White Dragon Emperor's enhanced reflexes. One energy tail wrapped around Valley's arm before he could react. Divide. The effect wasn't as simple having, the tail extracted energy with precision, targeting specific power reserves rather than overall strength. What did you, Valley began, then realized his wings had temporarily destabilized. Selective division, Naruto explained, circling his opponent. Why take everything when I only need certain parts? Valley's surprise quickly transformed into excitement. Fascinating. You've transcended the standard limitations. His eyes gleamed with battle lust. I need to match this. Vanishing Dragon Balance Breaker. Brilliant light engulfed Valley as white armor materialized, covering him completely with scaled plates and glowing blue gems. Mechanical wings extended, crackling with energy. Now we begin in earnest, Valley declared, his voice resonating from within the helmet. What followed was no longer a simple test of abilities. The training ground became a battlefield as two forms of balance breaker clashed at speeds barely visible to observers. Each impact sent shockwaves across the plateau, uprooting trees and shattering stone. Naruto discovered his form's advantages quickly, where Valley's armor provided superior defense, harmonizing Sage offered unmatched adaptability. The energy tails could attack independently, divide from multiple angles, and even form temporary constructs. Valley compensated with raw power and experience. His attacks grew increasingly complex, combining division with energy manipulation in ways that forced Naruto to constantly adapt. Your potential is remarkable, Valley called during a momentary separation. But potential means nothing without mastery. He unleashed his ultimate technique, half dimension. The space around Naruto began to contract, reality itself compressing as Valley's power divided the dimensional boundaries. Crap, Naruto muttered, feeling the crushing pressure. Instinctively, he countered with his own unique ability. The fox tails expanded, forming a protective sphere as he activated the red dragon's power. Boost! 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 The multiplied energy pushed outward against the contracting space, creating a pocket of stability within Valley's technique. Using this momentary protection, Naruto formulated a counter-strategy. He recalled his ninja training, specifically, the principle of redirecting an opponent's energy rather than directly opposing it. If Valley could divide dimensions. Kurama, let's try something new, Naruto communicated internally. I see your plan, the fox replied. Risky, but potentially effective. Naruto released his protective sphere suddenly, allowing Valley's half-dimension to rush inward. But instead of resisting, he synchronized with its frequency, his foxtails moving in precise patterns that guided rather than opposed the dimensional compression. What are you? Valley began, sensing something unexpected. In a move that combined ninja chakra principles with sacred gear powers, Naruto redirected the half-dimension effect back toward its caster, adding his own dividing power to the mix. The technique reversed, briefly catching Valley in his own dimensional compression before he could counter. The white armor cracked under the pressure, forcing Valley to expend significant energy breaking free. He landed several meters away, armor regenerating but clearly affected by the counter. Impossible, he breathed, genuine amazement in his voice. You redirected half-dimension. Ninja technique meets sacred gear, Naruto explained, the fox mask grinning. Redirection over resistance. Valley laughed, a sound of genuine delight rather than mockery. Brilliant. This is why I fight, to witness the impossible. He prepared to launch another attack, but Yasaka stepped forward, raising a hand wreathed in golden foxfire. Enough, she declared. The demonstration has served its purpose. Both fighters hesitated, battle lust still flowing through their veins. For a moment, it seemed Valley might ignore the command, but reason prevailed. His armor dissolved, revealing a face flushed with exertion but eyes bright with satisfaction. A draw, then, Valley conceded, though the way he said it suggested this was merely an intermission, not a conclusion. Naruto allowed his harmonizing sage form to fade, the energy tails retracting into the marks on his arms. For now, he agreed with a grin that matched Vala's battle-hungry expression. You fought well, Naruto Uzumaki. Yasaka approached, her 9 tails swaying with what appeared to be approval. The harmonization exceeds expectations. He's unrefined but innovative, Valley assessed, stretching muscles strained from the fight. Given time, he could become. He paused, seemingly reluctant to complete the compliment. A worthy rival? Naruto suggested. Vala's eyes narrowed, then he smiled slightly. Perhaps. Though your true test will come against Twilight Horizon. They won't fight fair like I did. Neither will I, Naruto replied. Kunu darted between the adults, practically bouncing with excitement. That was amazing. The way you went whoosh and then Valley went zoom and then everything exploded. Lady Kunu, an exasperated attendant called, hurrying to collect the young fox. You were expressly forbidden from the training grounds. But I had to see the fight. Kunu protested, evading capture by hiding behind Naruto. I'm researching for when I become leader. Yasaka's stern expression softened slightly. Kunu, what have we discussed about responsibilities? The young fox's ears drooped. That sometimes we must do the boring things before the exciting ones. Precisely. Your history lessons await. With dramatic reluctance, Kunu allowed herself to be led away, looking back to wave at Naruto. Next time use all 9 tails at once. I bet you could beat him then. Once she was gone, Yasaka turned to both fighters. You've demonstrated the compatibility of your powers, Naruto. And you, Valley, have confirmed what I suspected about the harmonization's potential. It's imperfect, Valley noted clinically. His control wavers during complex combinations. I've had these powers for like 2 days, Naruto protested. Give me a break. We don't have time for breaks, Valley countered. Twilight Horizon moves against all factions. Their interest in you accelerates their timeline. Yasaka nodded gravely. Valley is correct. After yesterday's attack, our intelligence suggests Ria Twilight has advanced her plans significantly. Then we need to hit them first, Naruto suggested immediately. Take the fight to them before they're ready. Impulsive, Valley commented, though not disapprovingly. But effective only with proper intelligence. Which we are gathering, Yasaka assured them. For now, Naruto requires further training to stabilize his abilities. I've done what I came to do, Valley announced, summoning his wings. I'll continue my own investigation into Twilight Horizon's activities. Their interest in dimensional boundaries affects my personal goals as well. He turned to Naruto, an intense expression on his face. When we meet again, Uzumaki, I expect to see that form fully mastered. Our next battle won't end in a draw. With that, he launched skyward, a streak of blue-white energy against the morning sky. Is he always so dramatic? Naruto asked, watching him disappear. Vala Lucifer carries many burdens, Yasaka replied cryptically. His heritage and power isolate him. Perhaps he sees in you something of a kindred spirit. Great, another complicated rival friendship, Naruto sighed. So what now? More training. Yasaka gestured toward the palace. First, recovery. Then we begin your instruction in yokai energy manipulation. Your fox spirit adapted to draconic vessels, now you must learn to access its original nature. The following days established a rhythm, mornings spent training with Yasaka to harness foxfire, afternoons practicing sacred gear control, evenings studying this world's complex political landscape. Naruto proved an apt student despite his usual impatience with theory. The practical applications of yokai energy came naturally to him, likely due to Kurama's influence and his prior experience with nature chakra. Your progress is remarkable, Yasaka noted on the 3rd day, observing as Naruto successfully channeled Foxfire through his boosted gear, creating flames that multiplied in strength with each boost. Most humans require years to manipulate yokai energy at all. I've always been a fast learner when it comes to the practical stuff, Naruto replied, dispersing the flames. Reading all those scrolls about yokai history, though? Not so much. They sat beneath a cherry tree in a secluded palace garden, taking a rare break from training. Naruto had discovered that beneath Yasaka's regal exterior lay a patient teacher and surprisingly dry wit. History shapes the present, she reminded him, pouring tea with elegant precision. Understanding yokai origins will help you navigate our political reality. Speaking of politics, Naruto accepted the tea gratefully. All these factions sound exhausting. Devils, angels, fallen angels, gods from different pantheons, heroes, magicians, how do you keep track of everyone's agenda? Centuries of practice, Yasaka replied with a small smile. The yokai faction maintains neutrality when possible, though we have alliances of convenience when needed. Naruto sipped his tea thoughtfully. In my world, the 5 great nations spent generations at war before finally forming an alliance against a common enemy. Is there anything uniting the factions here? Fear, primarily. Yasaka's expression grew serious. Fear of another great war that might destroy reality itself. The previous conflict nearly erased multiple pantheons and decimated all supernatural races. And where does Twilight Horizon fit? Azazel mentioned their human extremists, but they clearly have supernatural resources. Yasaka's tails twitched subtly, a tell Naruto had learned indicated concern. They represent a dangerous evolution. Humans who've accessed supernatural power through forbidden methods, primarily by harvesting sacred gears from their rightful wielders. Naruto grimaced. They kill people to take their powers. Yes. Led by Rhea Twilight, they believe humanity should claim dominance over all supernatural beings through any means necessary. Yasaka set down her teacup. What makes them particularly dangerous is their understanding of dimensional boundaries. They don't merely seek power in this world, but access to others as well. Like mine, Naruto realized. That's why they're so interested in me, I'm proof their dimensional theories work. Precisely. Your arrival validated years of their research. Yasaka leaned forward slightly. Tell me about your world, Naruto. Not just the ninja aspects you've mentioned, but its structure, its spiritual foundations. Naruto scratched his head. I'm not exactly a scholar, but I'll try. Our world runs on chakra, life energy that flows through everything. Some people can mold it for ninjutsu, genjutsu, all sorts of techniques. The tailed beasts like Kurama are made of super-concentrated chakra, created by a being called the Sage of Six Paths. And the barriers between life and death. Between dimensions. There are jutsu that can temporarily bring back the dead, forbidden techniques that mess with the natural order. As for dimensions. Naruto thought of Kagaya's abilities. There are pocket dimensions, and some really powerful beings can move between them. But crossing to an entirely different world like this? That's new even for us. Yasaka absorbed this information with obvious interest. The parallels are fascinating. Your chakra bears similarities to what we call spiritual energy, and your dimensional boundaries appear similarly structured to ours. Does that help figure out how I can get home? Naruto asked directly. Yasaka hesitated before answering. Potentially. Though the method of your arrival was chaotic, a collision of powers rather than controlled passage. Recreating such conditions precisely would be extraordinarily difficult. But not impossible. Few things are truly impossible, she replied carefully. Though the cost of attempting certain feats may outweigh their likelihood of success. Naruto sensed there was more she wasn't saying, but before he could press further, a messenger arrived with urgent news. Yasaka listened intently, her expression growing increasingly troubled. What's wrong? Naruto asked once they were alone again. Disturbing reports from multiple factions, she replied. Devils report sacred gear wielders disappearing from their territories. The Norse pantheon detected unusual energy fluctuations near their dimensional boundaries. And the yokai settlement in northern Japan was attacked, specifically targeted for their barrier maintenance specialists. Twilight Horizon. The evidence suggests so. They're gathering resources for something significant. Yasaka rose gracefully. I must consult with the council. Tonight's festival will continue as planned, canceling would cause panic, but security will be heightened. Festival. The Autumn Moon Celebration. A tradition when yokai powers are at their peak and the barrier between our realm and the human world is at its thinnest. Seeing his concerned expression, she added, your presence would be welcomed. Many yokai wish to meet the dimensional traveler who fights alongside their queen. Naruto grinned. A party? Count me in. We had festivals in Konoha too, though probably with less magic and more ramen. This one will have both, Yasaka promised, a rare full smile softening her features. The Kitsune are known for our hospitality when we choose to extend it. As she departed for her meeting, Naruto found himself watching her again, the graceful movement of her tails, the straight line of her back, the subtle power in every gesture. In just a few days, he developed a genuine respect for the yokai leader that went beyond gratitude for her help. Your interest grows, Kit, Kurama observed with characteristic bluntness. She's helped us a lot, Naruto deflected. Of course I respect her. Respect, yes. But there's more. The fox's tone held amusement. You watch her when you think she won't notice. I do not. Your increased heart rate suggests otherwise. Naruto sighed. Even if, and that's a big if, I find her impressive in, multiple ways, it doesn't matter. She's the leader of an entire faction in another world, and I'm trying to find a way home. Are you? Kurama asked pointedly. You've spent more time learning to adapt to this world than actively seeking passage back to our own. The observation hit uncomfortably close to home. Had he been subconsciously settling in rather than focusing on return? The thought of never seeing Konoha again, never seeing Sakura, Kakashi, and his other precious people, created a hollow ache in his chest. I haven't given up, Naruto insisted quietly. I just need to understand this world better first. Including its nine-tailed queen. Shut up, Kurama. The fox's rumbling laughter echoed in his mind as Naruto headed back to his quarters to prepare for the evening's festival. As twilight descended, the yokai capital transformed. Lanterns shaped like spirit creatures illuminated the streets, their flames shifting through rainbow colors. Yokai of every description emerged in their finest attire, many dropping human disguises to reveal their true forms for this one special night. Naruto wandered through the celebration, amazed by the diversity of beings. Tengu with their crow features performed aerial acrobatics above processions of kappa and tanuki. Music played on instruments unknown in the 5 nations filled the air, compelling even the most dignified yokai to dance. Having fun. Kunu appeared at his side, resplendent in a miniature ceremonial kimono, her single tail groomed to perfection. It's incredible, Naruto admitted, accepting a strange sweet from a passing vendor. Everyone seems so happy. It's the one night when we don't have to hide, Kunu explained with unexpected solemnity. When we can just be ourselves without worrying about human rules or expectations. Her mood brightened instantly. Come on. The parade is about to start. She dragged him through the crowd to a prime viewing spot along the main avenue. Soon, elaborate floats began passing by, each representing a different yokai clan. The Kitsune float, naturally the most spectacular, featured mechanical foxes whose tails moved in hypnotic patterns, trailing magical fire that formed images from yokai mythology. There's Mama. Kunu pointed excitedly. At the parade center walked Yasaka, transformed from political leader to cultural icon. Her ceremonial robes caught the lantern light, seemingly woven from moonbeams and sunset. Her 9 tails, fully displayed, shimmered with foxfire that responded to the cheers of her people. Upon her head sat a crown of crystallized yokai energy, marking her not just as leader but as living symbol of kitsune prosperity. Naruto stared, momentarily forgetting to breathe. She was magnificent, power and grace personified. Pretty amazing, huh? Kunu nudged him, noticing his expression. Mama says the crown connects her to all kitsune everywhere. She feels our joy and our pain when she wears it. That sounds like a heavy burden, Naruto replied, thinking of his own experiences carrying others' hopes and suffering. That's why she needs people who see her as Yasaka, not just as the queen, Kunu said with surprising insight. Then, with childish directness, do you like her? Not just as the queen, I mean. Naruto nearly choked on the sweet he'd been eating. She's been very helpful with my training and, that's not what I asked, Kunu interrupted with the devastating precision only children can manage. Mama smiles more when you're around. Real smiles, not her political ones. Before Naruto could formulate a response to this bombshell, a commotion erupted near the eastern quarter. The festive atmosphere fractured as screams replaced music. Stay here, Naruto instructed Kunu firmly, already moving toward the disturbance. The source became immediately apparent, black-robed figures moving through the crowd with mechanical precision, targeting specific yokai with capture devices rather than lethal force. Twilight Horizon, Naruto growled, the marks on his arms activating instinctively. The parade dissolved into chaos as guards rushed to defend civilians. Yasaka's voice cut through the panic, issuing clear commands that helped organize the evacuation. Naruto pushed against the fleeing crowd, heading directly toward the closest attackers. They had cornered a group of fox yokai, deployment devices ready. Boost! Enhanced strength surged as Naruto crashed into the first attacker, sending them flying into their companions. The captured yokai scattered immediately, but Naruto noticed something disturbing. The Twilight Horizon operative seemed specifically interested in foxes, particularly those with multiple tails. They're targeting kitsune, he realized, engaging a second group of attackers who had cornered a seven-tailed elder. This group came prepared with more advanced weapons, energy restraints that seemed designed specifically to counter fox magic. Naruto found himself facing increasingly competent opposition as he fought deeper into the conflict zone. The anomaly fights alongside the yokai, one operative spoke into a communication device. Adjusting containment protocols. The response came in the form of specialized units deploying to Naruto's position. These wore armor different from the standard operatives, with technology that seemed to pulse with harvested sacred gear energy. Primary target located, their leader announced. Containment team engage. Remember, Lady Rhea wants this one alive and intact. Naruto grinned despite the danger. You guys really didn't do your homework if you think containment is gonna work on me. Balance breaker, harmonizing sage, the transformation came more smoothly now, red and blue energy flowing together as the fox-dragon hybrid form manifested. The 9 energy tails whipped outward, creating a perimeter that pushed back the advancing operatives. The containment team hesitated, their equipment readings spiking as Naruto's power levels exceeded their projections. Recalibrating, the leader announced, adjusting settings on his armor. All units, deploy sacred gear suppressors. They launched devices that expanded into a field around Naruto, creating a dome of energy that attempted to dampen supernatural powers. For a moment, he felt his balance breaker fluctuate. They're using anti-dragon technology, Kurama observed. But we're not purely draconic. Time to show them what happens when you mess with a fox, Naruto agreed, channeling yokai energy through his form. The suppression field cracked as foxfire wove through Naruto's energy tails, creating a counter-frequency that destabilized the technology. With precision learned from Yasaka's training, he directed this energy outward, systematically disabling the containment team's equipment. Across the festival grounds, similar scenes played out as Twilight Horizon forces engaged yokai defenders. Unlike the previous attack, this one showed clear strategic purpose. they targeted specific individuals with precise force rather than causing general destruction. Naruto fought his way toward the center of the conflict where Yasaka's power signature blazed like a beacon. He found her surrounded by elite operatives wielding what appeared to be artificial sacred gears, harvested powers implanted into technology. Despite their advanced equipment, they hesitated to approach the nine-tailed queen directly. Yasaka stood protecting a group of young yokai, her tails forming a protective barrier of concentrated foxfire. The children escaped first, she commanded, her voice carrying absolute authority despite the chaos. Kuzunoha, lead them through the eastern passage. As Kuzunoha shepherded the youngsters away, Yasaka unleashed her power against the approaching operatives. Golden flames consumed their front line, but more appeared from portable transport circles, replacing fallen comrades with fresh forces. Their numbers are unusual, she noted as Naruto reached her position. This is not merely a raid, it's a coordinated assault with significant resources. They're after the fox yokai specifically, Naruto reported, his energy tails extending to reinforce her defensive perimeter. Especially those with multiple tails. Yasaka's eyes narrowed. Fox essence harvesting. An ancient, forbidden practice. Her expression hardened with cold fury. They dare much this night. Together, they pushed back against the advancing forces, their powers complementing each other naturally. Where Yasaka's techniques required precision, Naruto provided raw power, where he lacked finesse, she supplied tactical guidance. Harmonize with the festival energy, she instructed during a momentary respite. The barriers are thin tonight, yokai power flows more freely. Naruto nodded, reaching out with his senses as she'd taught him. Sure enough, the celebration had raised ambient yokai energy to extraordinary levels. He drew it in through his balance breaker form, feeling the boost multiply its effectiveness. Now that's what I'm talking about. His energy tails brightened dramatically, each one now capable of independent complex attacks. The Twilight Horizon commander recognized the danger, ordering an immediate tactical shift. All units, prioritize the queen. The anomaly cannot maintain that power level indefinitely. They were right about that, despite the ambient energy boost, Naruto felt the strain of maintaining his enhanced balance breaker. Even with harmonization, these powers consumed stamina at an alarming rate. We need to end this quickly, he told Yasaka. They're wearing us down deliberately. She nodded, her tactical mind assessing options. The festival circle, if we reach it, I can activate the seasonal barrier early. It would expel all non-yokai from our realm. Lead the way. They fought toward the central plaza where ritual preparations had been interrupted by the attack. The stone circle there, carved with ancient yokai symbols, remained intact despite the surrounding chaos. Yasaka moved with astonishing speed and grace for someone maintaining a constant defense with 9 independent tails. Her fighting style combined fluid movement with devastating precision strikes, nothing wasted, every gesture purposeful. As they approached the circle, Twilight Horizon forces converged from all directions, clearly recognizing their intention. Elite operatives formed a blockade while support units deployed more advanced containment technology. They anticipated this, Yasaka realized. Someone betrayed our emergency protocols. Doesn't matter, Naruto replied. We're getting through anyway. He focused on the new technique they developed during training, the harmonic surge. His energy tails aligned in a specific pattern while Yasaka's physical tails mirrored the formation. Together, they created an advancing wave of synchronized power that rolled forward like a tsunami, overwhelming the blockade through perfect resonance rather than brute force. The path cleared momentarily, allowing Yasaka to reach the circle's edge. She immediately began the activation sequence, her tails tracing complex patterns while ritual phrases flowed in the ancient yokai tongue. Cover me, she instructed. The process requires 60 seconds of uninterrupted focus. You got it. Naruto positioned himself between Yasaka and the regrouping Twilight Horizon forces. With his remaining stamina, he pushed his balance breaker to its limit, creating a defensive perimeter with his energy tails. The enemy commander recognized the critical moment, ordering all resources towards stopping the ritual. Containment has failed. Deploy the nullifier. From their rear lines, operatives wheeled forward a massive device that pulsed with ominous energy, clearly designed to counter yokai magic specifically. Naruto recognized the danger immediately. Whatever that thing is, it's not reaching this circle, he declared, channeling his remaining power into his legs. Boost! 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 With tripled speed, he charged the nullifier device directly, crashing through the defensive line before they could react. The device operators panicked, activating the system prematurely. A wave of anti-yokai energy erupted outward, painful but not incapacitating to Naruto's hybrid form. He reached the device through sheer determination, energy tails wrapping around its core. Divide. 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 The triple division destabilized the nullifier's power source, creating a cascading failure that culminated in a spectacular implosion. The shockwave knocked back everyone within 50 meters, including Naruto, who was thrown clear back to the ritual circle's edge. He landed hard, balance breaker flickering as his stamina reached critical levels. Through blurred vision, he saw Yasaka completing the final sequence, her 9 tails now glowing so brightly they resembled solid gold. Barrier activation in 3, 2, 1. She intoned. The circle erupted with blinding light that expanded outward in concentric rings. Where it touched Twilight Horizon operatives, they dissolved into particles before being forcibly ejected from the yokai realm. Equipment, weapons, even their artificial sacred gears, all vanished in the purification wave. As the light reached the realm's boundaries, a massive dome became briefly visible, the restored barrier shimmering into place before fading from normal perception. The sudden silence felt almost physical after the chaos of battle. Yokai emerged slowly from hiding places, assessing damage and tending to injured companions. Naruto's balance breaker finally gave out, the energy form dissolving as exhaustion claimed him. He managed to stay conscious, though standing required more effort than he cared to admit. Did it work? He asked as Yasaka approached, her own power dimmed from the massive expenditure of activating the barrier. Yes. No human or devil may enter our realm without specific invitation for the next lunar cycle. Her golden eyes assessed him with concern. You pushed beyond safe limits. Worth it, Naruto managed a tired grin. Though I think I need to sit down for a minute. They found a relatively intact bench amid the devastated festival decorations. Around them, yokai were already beginning cleanup efforts with remarkable resilience. Your people bounce back quickly, Naruto observed. Necessity, Yasaka replied simply. We have survived persecution for millennia by adapting rather than breaking. As palace guards organized recovery efforts, Kuzunoha approached with Kunu in tow. The young fox immediately launched herself at Naruto, hugging him with surprising strength. You were amazing, she exclaimed. The way you smashed that big machine thing. Boom. Kunu, decorum, Yasaka reminded gently, though without real sternness. It's fine, Naruto laughed, patting Kunu's head. Glad you're safe, kid. You did good following instructions for once. Kuzunoha bowed formally. The casualty report, Lady Yasaka. 7 injured, none critically. However, her single tail drooped. 12 yokai are missing, presumably captured before the barrier activation. Yasaka's expression darkened. All kitsune? Yes. 8 with multiple tails, including Elder Tamamo. This was a targeted extraction operation, Yasaka concluded grimly. The attack was merely a diversion. But why take fox yokai specifically? Naruto asked. What do they gain from that? Yasaka exchanged a meaningful glance with Kuzunoha before responding. Fox essence, particularly from multiple-tailed kitsune, contains unique properties for barrier manipulation. In sufficient quantity, it could be used to create, or break through, dimensional boundaries. The implication hit Naruto immediately. They're trying to create their own dimensional portal. It appears so. Yasaka rose, despite obvious fatigue. We must convene the council immediately. This development accelerates our timeline significantly. As advisors gathered around their queen, Naruto felt a tugging on his sleeve. Kuno looked up at him with an expression too serious for her young face. "You'll help get them back, right?" she asked quietly. "Elder Tamamo tells the best stories, and she always brings me sweet rice cakes." Naruto knelt to her level. "We'll get them all back. That's a promise, and I never go back on my word." Kuno's solemn expression broke into a relieved smile. "Good. Mama says promises matter more than anything." "Your mama's pretty smart," Naruto agreed, ruffling her hair. As Kuno was led away by attendants, Naruto approached Yasaka and her advisors, who were deep in urgent discussion. Tracking their dimensional signature, fortress in the mountains, ritual preparations could take as little as 3 days. Yasaka noticed Naruto and gestured him into their circle. "We've located their likely destination. A remote compound in the Japanese Alps where unusual energy readings have been detected recently. Then we mount a rescue operation," Naruto stated simply. "Get in, save the captured yokai, stop whatever ritual they're planning." "It's not that simple," one elderly advisor objected. "The barrier ejection prevents yokai forces from leaving the realm for the next lunar cycle. It's a defense mechanism we cannot override." "Then I'll go," Naruto countered. "I'm not yokai." "Alone against an entire Twilight Horizon stronghold," another advisor scoffed. "Impossible." "I won't be alone," Naruto replied confidently. "Val is still out there, right? And Azazel? They both have reasons to stop Twilight Horizon." Yasaka considered this, her tails moving in thoughtful patterns. "It could work. I'll contact Azazel immediately." She turned to her advisors. "Prepare detailed intelligence on the mountain compound. We need structural weaknesses, guard rotations, everything available." As the council dispersed to fulfill their assignments, Yasaka and Naruto found themselves momentarily alone amid the destruction of what should have been a joyous celebration. "I'm sorry about the festival," Naruto said quietly. "It was beautiful before everything went sideways. Festivals recur. Lives do not," Yasaka replied, though her expression softened. "But thank you. It was indeed beautiful, while it lasted." Exhaustion finally caught up to them both. Without thinking, Naruto leaned slightly against a nearby pillar, trying to appear casual rather than ready to collapse. Yasaka noticed immediately. "You need rest before planning continues," she stated firmly. "Your reserves are depleted." "I'm fine," Naruto protested automatically. "Just need a soldier pill or whatever the equivalent is here." "Stubborn," Yasaka observed, but with a hint of admiration rather than criticism. She stepped closer, her voice lowering. "There is a faster method of recovery, if you're willing." "What method?" "Fox yokai can share energy directly." A slight hesitation. "It requires physical contact and mutual trust." "Oh." Naruto felt his face warm slightly. "I mean, if it helps with the rescue planning, I'm all for it." Yasaka glanced around to ensure they weren't observed, then guided him to a secluded alcove away from the cleanup efforts. There, she carefully arranged her tails in a semicircle behind them, creating a private space illuminated only by soft foxfire. "This is not something I offer lightly," she said quietly. "But your assistance tonight saved many lives. My people owe you a debt." "You don't owe me anything," Naruto replied honestly. "I fought because it was right, not for repayment." Something in his response seemed to please her. Without further explanation, she placed one hand against his chest, directly over his heart. The contact sent immediate warmth spreading through his system. "Focus on the connection," she instructed softly. "Allow the energy to flow naturally." Naruto closed his eyes, sensing the golden energy passing from her into him. It felt different from chakra transfers he'd experienced before, more intimate somehow, as if seeing Yasaka's essence directly rather than merely borrowing her power. What surprised him was that the connection worked both ways. As her energy flowed into him, replenishing his depleted reserves, he sensed his own energy responding, the balanced red-blue power mingling with her golden foxfire at the point of contact. This is... He began, uncertain how to describe the sensation. Unexpected, Yasaka finished, her golden eyes wide with surprise. Your harmonized energy resonates with mine. The transfer continued. Both of them now caught in a feedback loop of sharing rather than simple giving and receiving. Naruto felt not just his stamina returning but a deeper connection forming, something neither had anticipated. Through this link, impressions flowed both ways. He sensed Yasaka's carefully controlled concerns, responsibility for her people, worry for those captured, the constant vigilance required of a leader. She, in turn, seemed to glimpse his determination, his loneliness in this new world, his growing connection to her and the yokai. After several minutes that felt simultaneously brief and eternal, Yasaka gently broke the contact. The sudden absence left Naruto momentarily disoriented, as if losing a sense he hadn't known he possessed. That was... He searched for words. Indeed, she agreed, seemingly equally affected. Her usual composure returned quickly, though her eyes remained softer than before. Your energy levels should be sufficient now. Yeah, I feel much better, Naruto confirmed, rolling his shoulders experimentally. Thanks for the boost. Something almost like amusement flickered across her features. A fitting term, given your abilities. They returned to the central area where recovery efforts continued. Though neither mentioned what had just transpired, something had undeniably shifted between them, a deeper understanding that transcended their strategic alliance. As they joined the planning session, Kuzunoha approached with urgent news. My lady, we've received communication from Lord Azazel. He confirms unusual activity at the mountain location and is mobilizing reconnaissance. Good, Yasaka nodded. What of Valor Lucifer? Already on site, according to the fallen angel intelligence. He encountered Twilight Horizon forces transporting the captured yokai and followed them to the compound. Naruto cracked his knuckles with renewed determination. So we have location, inside help, and motivation. When do we move? Dawn, Yasaka decided. The operatives will need time to secure their captives and prepare whatever ritual they're planning. We'll use that time to coordinate our response. As they gathered around maps and intelligence reports, the energy transfer's effects lingered between them, a subtle awareness of each other that went beyond physical proximity. Occasionally their eyes would meet across the planning table, conveying understanding without words. By midnight, a rescue operation had taken shape. Naruto would leave the yokai realm at dawn, rendezvous with Azazel and Valley at a designated location, then infiltrate the mountain compound using intelligence provided by yokai spies. The primary objective is rescuing our people, Yasaka emphasized. Secondary is disrupting whatever dimensional experiment they're conducting. Advisors continued discussing tactical details, but Naruto noticed Yasaka withdrawing slightly from the conversation, her expression troubled. Something wrong? He asked quietly when they had a moment apart from the others. She hesitated before answering. The intelligence suggests Rhea Twilight intends to open a stable dimensional portal using the captured fox essence. That's their goal, right? Breaking boundaries between worlds. Yes, but there's more. Yasaka's golden eyes met his directly. Our sources indicate the resonance frequency they're targeting matches your dimensional signature precisely. The implication struck Naruto immediately. They're trying to open a portal to my world. It appears so. Which means, I might have a way home, Naruto finished, the realization both exhilarating and somehow unsettling. If we don't stop them completely. You could potentially use their technology to return to your dimension, Yasaka confirmed, her expression carefully neutral. It presents an additional consideration for the mission. Before Naruto could formulate a response, a messenger interrupted with updates on the captive's condition. The moment passed, but its significance lingered as preparations continued into the night. Eventually, with plans finalized and dawn approaching, Yasaka insisted Naruto get at least a few hours rest before departure. She walked with him toward his quarters, both physically and emotionally drained from the night's events. "Naruto," she said as they reached his door, formality temporarily set aside. "Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever you discover or decide, know that you have honored us with your presence and your aid." There was something in her tone, a preemptive farewell, that caught him off guard. "Hey," he said gently, "I made a promise to Kuno that we'd get everyone back. I don't break my promises." "I know." A soft smile. "It's one of your most admirable qualities." An impulse seized him, perhaps influenced by the lingering connection from their energy transfer, perhaps by the possibility that tomorrow might change everything. Before he could second-guess himself, Naruto leaned forward and kissed her. For a breathless moment, Yasaka remained perfectly still, and Naruto feared he'd catastrophically misread the situation. Then her 9 tails curled forward, enveloping them both as she returned the kiss with unexpected intensity. The connection from earlier rekindled instantly, energy flowing between them not from deliberate transfer but from spontaneous resonance. Foxfire danced around them, responding to emotions neither had fully acknowledged until this moment. When they finally separated, Yasaka's carefully maintained composure had given way to something more vulnerable, more genuine. "That was," she began. "Unexpected?" Naruto suggested with a smile. "I was going to say, inevitable," she corrected softly. Her expression grew serious. "But it complicates matters considerably." "I'm good with complicated," Naruto replied. "Been dealing with it my whole life." Yasaka touched his face gently. "Rest now. Dawn comes quickly, and with it, decisions that cannot be unmade." She stepped back, regal bearing returning like a protective cloak. With one last lingering look, she turned and walked away, her 9 tails swaying with characteristic grace. Alone in his room, Naruto collapsed onto the bed, mind racing despite physical exhaustion. Tomorrow might bring a way home, back to Konoha, to his friends, to the world he'd fought so hard to protect. It should have filled him with uncomplicated joy. Instead, he found himself torn between worlds in a way that had nothing to do with dimensional portals and everything to do with the golden-eyed queen whose lips still lingered in his memory. "Complicated indeed, Kit," Kurama commented, breaking his uncharacteristic silence on the matter. "Though not unexpected." "Not helping, Kurama," Naruto muttered into his pillow. "I merely observe that your attachment to this world grows daily," the fox continued. "Tomorrow's choices will reveal your true heart." As sleep finally claimed him, Naruto's dreams were filled with portals between worlds, one leading back to familiar forests and faces, the other remaining in this realm of 9-tailed foxes and harmonized power. In the liminal space of dreams, both seemed equally valid, equally home. Dawn would demand a choice. But for now, suspended between worlds, Naruto slept, his arms still marked with the symbols of impossible balance, his heart increasingly marked by connections he hadn't sought but couldn't deny. Chapter 3, Ascendance. Dawn painted the mountains in hues of gold and crimson as Naruto crouched on a ridgeline overlooking the Twilight Horizon compound. The facility sprawled across a plateau, surrounded by sheer cliffs on 3 sides and a heavily fortified access road on the 4th. Guard towers, sensor arrays, and energy barriers created a perimeter that screamed, "Stay out." "Quite the fortress they've built," Azazel commented beside him, examining the compound through specialized binoculars. "Makes you wonder what they're hiding." "Kidnapped yokai and dimensional technology," Naruto replied, scanning for weak points. "Good enough reasons for security." Azazel lowered the binoculars with a thoughtful expression. "You know, when I first sent you to Kyoto, I expected reports of an interesting cultural exchange, maybe some power development. Not a full-scale assault on a secret mountain base. I make things interesting, Naruto shrugged. That you do. Azazel handed him the binoculars. Val is already inside. He entered during shift change 3 hours ago and has been gathering intelligence. The captives are being held in the central structure. Naruto focused the binoculars on the imposing central building. Unlike the utilitarian structures surrounding it, this one featured unusual architecture, geometric patterns that seemed designed to channel energy rather than merely contain space. That's not just a prison, he observed. It's built for some kind of ritual. Precisely. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing to harvest the Fox yokai essence for a massive dimensional experiment. Azazel's typically casual demeanor hardened slightly. Even by my somewhat flexible ethical standards, it crosses several lines. When do we move? We're waiting for, right on time. A small light flashed from a maintenance entrance on the compound's eastern side, Vala's signal. Simultaneously, Azazel's communication device pinged with an incoming message. Internal security systems compromised, Azazel read. Primary defenses deactivated in sectors 3 through 6. Proceed with infiltration. Naruto grinned, the marks on his arms beginning to glow in anticipation. Time to crash their party. The infiltration route took them through a maintenance tunnel that Valley had cleared of personnel. Inside the compound, they separated, Azazel toward the command center to gather intelligence, Naruto directly to the central structure where the captives were held. Moving through the facility required a blend of stealth and quick takedowns. Naruto found his ninja training perfectly suited for the environment, despite the high-tech security. When necessary, carefully applied, divide, effects to surveillance equipment created blind spots without triggering alarms. They're below us, Kurama advised as they approached the central building. I can sense Fox energy, distressed, being drained. Hang on just a little longer, Naruto muttered, slipping through an access door into what appeared to be a research wing. The interior resembled a cross between a laboratory and a temple. Scientists in Twilight Horizon uniforms monitored equipment while guards with enhanced weapons patrolled the perimeter. At the center of the main chamber stood a massive device, a ring-shaped structure inscribed with symbols that reminded Naruto of Yasaka's barrier script. He crept along an overhead observation walkway, listening to researchers discussing their project. Essence extraction at 64%, one reported. The nine-tailed specimens are proving extraordinarily resilient. Accelerate the process, ordered a woman in a white coat. Lady Rhea wants full capacity by noon. The dimensional alignment only occurs once per decade. But accelerating could damage the specimens, they're yokai, not people, the woman snapped. Lady Rhea was clear, the timeline supersedes preservation concerns. Naruto gritted his teeth, anger building at their casual disregard for the captives. Below, a door opened to reveal a secure area where the yokai were being held. Transparent chambers connected to extraction equipment contained the missing kitsune, their multiple tails dimmed with exhaustion as machines systematically drained their essence. Found you, Naruto whispered, eyes narrowing as he spotted Elder Tamamo, the oldest captive with 8 tails now hanging limply as she struggled to maintain consciousness. Boost. The subtle activation enhanced his senses, allowing him to map the entire facility's layout. Security was concentrated around the extraction chambers and the central ring device, with fewer personnel near the power regulation systems. The extraction is linked to their power grid, Kurama observed. Disrupt it, and we create an opening. Naruto nodded, moving silently toward the power distribution node he'd identified. As he reached position, his communicator vibrated with Azazel's signal, the diversion was about to begin. Sure enough, alarms blared from the opposite side of the compound. Emergency lights flashed as security personnel rushed to respond to whatever chaos Azazel had orchestrated. Now or never, Naruto muttered, dropping from the walkway directly onto the power distribution controls. Before the remaining technicians could react, he activated both gears simultaneously. Boost. Divide. The dual activation created his signature harmonic disruption, power systems overloaded while simultaneously being drained, creating a cascading failure throughout the facility. Backup generators kicked in automatically, but at reduced capacity, prioritizing the central ring device over the extraction chambers. Extraction interrupted, a scientist shouted as the yokai containment systems flickered. We're losing the essence feed. Security breach in power section, another called, finally noticing Naruto. Intruder. Naruto didn't give them time to finish. With enhanced speed, he launched himself toward the extraction chambers, the marks on his arms flaring with harmonized energy. Get away from them, he growled, energy tails beginning to form behind him. Guards rushed forward with weapons ready, but Naruto moved with determined focus, each strike precise and debilitating without being lethal. He carved a path through the security personnel, heading directly for the containment controls. Lock down the specimens, the lead researcher ordered frantically. We can't lose the Ninetales essence. Too late. Naruto reached the control panel, and with one, divide, enhanced strike, shattered the central control system. The containment fields flickered and died, releasing the exhausted yokai from their forced extraction. Everyone out. Naruto called to the freed captives. Follow the emergency lights to the east exit. Friends are waiting there. Elder Tamamo rose shakily, her 8 tails beginning to regain some color as her essence flow stabilized. You came for us, she said, voice weak but grateful. Of course we did. Yasaka sends her regards. Naruto created a path through the incoming security forces. Can you lead the others out? The elder nodded, gathering her remaining strength. Come, my kin. Freedom awaits. As the yokai made their escape, Naruto turned his attention to the central ring device where frantic activity continued despite the chaos. Whatever they were preparing, the researchers seemed determined to complete it regardless of the security breach. Harmonizing Sage, the balance breaker form. Manifested fully, 9 energy tails whipping outward as Naruto charged toward the central chamber. The remaining guards fired advanced weapons designed to counter supernatural abilities, but the harmonized nature of his power proved resistant to their specialized countermeasures. He tore through the final defensive line, entering the chamber just as the massive ring device began to activate. Energy coursed through the symbols etched into its surface, creating a swirling vortex at its center. You're too late, announced a voice from above. On an observation platform stood a figure Naruto recognized immediately despite never having seen her face. Ria Twilight had abandoned her mask, revealing sharp features framed by silver-white hair. Her eyes, heterochromic, one gold and one blue, regarded Naruto with clinical interest. The dimensional boundary is already weakening, she continued calmly. Soon, the pathway will open, and a new era will begin. Sorry to ruin your schedule, Naruto replied, energy tails lashing behind him, but I'm shutting this down now. Ria smiled, a cold, calculating expression. Are you certain that's what you want? After all, this portal leads to your world, Dimensional Walker. I'm offering you a way home. The statement gave Naruto momentary pause, confirmation of what Yasaka had suspected. How thoughtful, he recovered quickly. But I don't trust gifts from people who torture yokai for their power. Torture? Please. Ria descended the stairs with unhurried confidence. We're advancing human potential. These creatures have hoarded power for millennia while humanity struggled in ignorance. As she approached, Naruto sensed something unusual about her, an energy signature that wasn't fully human despite her appearance. She carried no visible sacred gear, yet power radiated from her core in familiar patterns. You've modified yourself, he realized. Using the powers you've stolen. Elevated myself, she corrected. Humans deserve access to the same advantages supernatural beings take for granted. I've simply pioneered the method. The ring device's activation intensified, the vortex expanding as energy readings climbed. Technicians worked feverishly at control stations, ignoring the confrontation as they focused on stabilizing the growing portal. You're playing with forces you don't understand, Naruto warned, eyeing the increasingly unstable energy patterns. On the contrary. Ria's heterochromic eyes gleamed with absolute conviction. I understand perfectly that boundaries are meant to be broken. Dimensions, species, power limitations, all artificial constraints on our potential. She raised a hand, revealing intricate circuit-like patterns embedded in her skin that pulsed with harvested yokai energy. Observe real evolution, she commanded. The energy surged, transforming her appearance. Wings erupted from her back, not the natural wings of angels or devils, but technological constructs infused with supernatural power. Her skin hardened into a scale-like protective layer while her eyes blazed with concentrated foxfire. Artificial sacred gear integration, she explained, rising slowly into the air. The future of human advancement. Looks more like a corruption to me, Naruto countered, gathering his own power. Taking shortcuts instead of earning strength. Says the boy who lucked into hosting a nine-tailed fox spirit, Ria retorted. We all start somewhere. I simply chose to take control of my destiny rather than wait for fortune's favor. She attacked without further preamble, artificial wings launching energy projectiles with machine gun rapidity. Naruto's tails formed a defensive barrier, deflecting the assault while he assessed her capabilities. The artificial enhancements gave Ria impressive versatility, flight, energy projection, enhanced physical attributes, but lacked the harmony of natural powers. Each system operated independently rather than as an integrated whole. She's powerful but unbalanced, Kurama observed. Her systems don't communicate effectively. Then we exploit the gaps, Naruto replied internally, waiting for the momentary lag between her offensive and defensive systems. There, as her wings reset after a barrage, her protective scales briefly thinned to allow greater mobility. Naruto struck precisely at that moment, an energy tail wrapping around her ankle before she could adjust. Divide. The division effect traveled through the connection, specifically targeting her energy distribution network rather than her overall power. The artificial systems faltered, wings temporarily losing lift as she crashed to the floor. Ria recovered quickly, adapting her systems to the unexpected attack. Impressive. You identified a synchronization flaw most wouldn't notice. She rose again, modifications already recalibrating. But adaptation is my specialty. The portal behind her expanded further, now large enough to show shifting landscapes, vague images that occasionally resolved into familiar scenes from Naruto's world. We don't have time for this, he muttered, recognizing that the dimensional opening was reaching critical stability. Once fully formed, it would be much harder to close. Ria noticed his divided attention and smiled. Tempting, isn't it? Home just a few steps away. She gestured toward the portal. I could send you back right now. All I require is a small sample of your unique energy signature to stabilize the connection. And then what? You follow with an invasion force. Naruto kept his focus on both Ria and the technicians still working the controls. Exploration, not invasion, she corrected. Though I won't deny the strategic advantages of access to untapped resources and powers. A sudden explosion rocked the facility, followed by alarms indicating a perimeter breach. Ria's expression darkened slightly as she checked a communication device. Your allies are persistent, she noted. The White Dragon Emperor is proving particularly troublesome. He does that, Naruto grinned. Not big on patience or subtlety. The distraction provided an opening. With practiced coordination, Naruto channeled Foxfire through his energy tails, a technique Yasaka had taught him specifically for disrupting barrier technology. The Foxfire shot toward the control stations, weaving between startled technicians to infiltrate the command systems. Where it touched, circuits overloaded and runes destabilized, creating cascade failures throughout the portal mechanism. No. Ria shot forward, attempting to intercept the sabotage. Do you realize what you're doing? This alignment won't recur for years. Stopping you from exploiting other worlds, Naruto replied, meeting her charge directly. Their collision sent shock waves through the chamber, cracking support pillars and toppling equipment. The battle intensified as Ria's desperation grew. Her artificial enhancements pushed beyond safe operational parameters, sacrificing longevity for immediate power. Energy arced between them as harmonized dragon power clashed with her harvested abilities. Meanwhile, the portal's stability fluctuated wildly. As control systems failed, the dimensional opening began exhibiting unpredictable behavior, expanding, contracting, showing rapid flashes of different locations. "You fool!" Ria snarled, genuine anger breaking through her calculated facade. The portal must be properly closed or the dimensional backlash could destroy everything within miles. Naruto recognized the legitimate concern beneath her rage. If the portal collapsed catastrophically, the released energy could indeed cause massive destruction, potentially killing the rescued yokai still evacuating. "Then help me stabilize it for shutdown," he countered, momentarily pausing his assault. "Impossible without the control systems you just destroyed," she spat. The situation deteriorated rapidly. Equipment exploded as power surged through failing safety mechanisms. The portal expanded erratically, its edges becoming jagged and unstable. "We need to contain the collapse," Kurama advised urgently. "If that thing ruptures completely." "I know," Naruto replied, his mind racing for a solution. An unexpected voice joined their crisis. "The harmonic resonance requires counter-frequency stabilization," Vala Lucifer announced, striding into the chamber with casual confidence despite the chaos. "Your balance breaker could provide it." "Valley." Naruto had never been so glad to see his rival. "Where are the yokai?" "Safe with Azazel, outside the blast radius." Valley assessed the destabilizing portal with clinical precision. "But we won't be if that collapses. We need synchronized division to contract the event horizon while boosting the containment field." Ria laughed bitterly. "Impossible. The energy requirements would kill any single wielder." "Good thing there's two of us," Naruto replied, looking to Valley. Understanding passed between rivals. Valley activated his balance breaker, white armor forming around him as wings extended from his back. "I stabilize, you contain," Valley directed, taking position on one side of the portal. "On my mark." Naruto moved to the opposite position, gathering his harmonized energy into a focused configuration. The 9 energy tails aligned in a specific pattern Yasaka had taught him for barrier reinforcement. Ria watched in disbelief. "You can't be serious." "The feedback alone would, now." Valley commanded. "Divide. Divide. Divide." Vala's division effect struck the portal's outer boundary, forcing its expansion to halt and begin contracting. The dimensional energy resisted, writhing like a living thing against the compression. Simultaneously, Naruto applied precisely calibrated boosts to the remaining containment systems while using foxfire techniques to weave a stabilizing barrier around the shrinking portal. Boost. 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 The strain was immediate and intense. Feedback energy coursed through both wielders as the portal fought their intervention. Vala's armor cracked in places but continuously reformed as he maintained the division field with iron discipline. Naruto felt his balance breaker fluctuating under the pressure, the harmonized form threatening to destabilize. He reached deeper, connecting with Kurama's consciousness. "One final push," the fox urged. Complete synchronization, like the ritual with Yasaka. Understanding instantly, Naruto stopped fighting the feedback and instead opened himself to it, allowing the dimensional energy to flow through him rather than against him. The technique mirrored the harmonization ritual, seeking balance rather than dominance. The effect was immediate. His balance breaker stabilized, then transformed, evolving beyond harmonizing sage to a new configuration where the 9 energy tails became solid, each glowing with intense foxfire patterned with dragon scales. "What is that form?" Valley demanded, his own power straining against the portal's resistance. "Balance Breaker God," Naruto replied, the name arising instinctively. The new form radiated harmonized power beyond anything he'd previously achieved, perfectly balancing opposing forces within a unified whole. With this elevated state, Naruto extended his influence over the portal's chaotic energy. The tails moved in complex patterns, weaving foxfire and dragon power into a compression net that systematically reduced the opening's size while stabilizing its boundaries. Valley recognized the opportunity and intensified his own efforts, division effects becoming more precisely targeted as Naruto's containment allowed for greater control. Even Ria stood transfixed by the display, her scientific mind cataloging what should have been impossible, direct manipulation of dimensional boundaries without mechanical assistance. The portal contracted steadily, its erratic behavior calming under their combined influence. As it shrank to the size of a doorway, Naruto felt something unexpected, a pull, a recognition. The opening now led directly to his world, stabilized enough to show a clear image of a forest he recognized near Konoha. Home was literally within reach. For one breathless moment, the mission, the battle, everything faded as Naruto stared at the tantalizing glimpse of his own world. Familiar trees, the quality of light, even the distant outline of Hokage Mountain, all exactly as he remembered. "Your pathway home," Ria observed quietly, sensing his hesitation. As promised. The portal had stabilized enough for safe passage, one person could cross before they completed the closure. A perfect opportunity that would never come again. Naruto felt the weight of the choice pressing upon him. Return to his friends, his dreams, the world where he belonged? Or remain in this new reality where he'd found unexpected connections and purpose? Kurama remained uncharacteristically silent, allowing Naruto to face this decision without influence. The structural integrity won't hold much longer, Valley warned, still maintaining the division field with visible strain. Decide quickly. Naruto looked from the portal to Ria, who watched him with calculating eyes despite her defeat, then to Valley, who had become an unexpected ally despite their rivalry. And then he thought of Yasaka, her golden eyes, her quiet strength, the connection they'd formed that transcended worlds. Close it, Naruto commanded, stepping back from the portal. Surprise flashed across Ria's face. "You'd abandon your home? Everything you know?" "I'm not abandoning anything," Naruto replied with certainty. "I'm choosing where I'm needed most." With renewed determination, he channeled maximum power through his evolved form, the 9 tails creating a constricting pattern that forced the portal closed like a camera aperture. Valley matched the effort, his division effects preventing any last-moment energy surges. The portal collapsed with a flash of light and a thunderclap of displaced air, leaving behind a scorched ring where the device had stood. The backlash knocked everyone backward, but the catastrophic release had been successfully contained. In the sudden silence, alarms continued to blare distantly as the facility's remaining systems registered multiple failures. Dust and smoke filled the air, gradually clearing to reveal the aftermath. Naruto's balance breaker faded, the evolved form requiring too much energy to maintain after the massive expenditure of closing the portal. Valley likewise powered down, his armor dissolving to reveal an exhausted but satisfied expression. "Impressive work," he admitted grudgingly. "Though next time, try not to destroy the facility while we're still inside it." "Next time, don't wait until the last minute to join the party," Naruto countered with a tired grin. Their momentary camaraderie was interrupted by slow, deliberate applause. Ria Twilight stood amidst the wreckage of her life's work, artificial enhancements powered down to conservation levels, clapping with genuine appreciation. "Magnificent," she said, surprising them both. "True mastery of dimensional energy without technological assistance. You've demonstrated exactly what I've always theorized, that human potential can reach beyond artificial limitations. You're taking defeat pretty well for someone who just lost their doomsday project," Naruto observed cautiously. Ria shrugged, an unexpected hint of humor crossing her features. "The experiment provided valuable data, even in failure. And nothing is truly destroyed, only transformed." She glanced at the scorched ring. "Knowledge, once gained, cannot be erased." "She's planning something else," Valley warned, moving into a ready stance despite his exhaustion. Always, Ria acknowledged without shame. Evolution demands adaptation. Her heterochromic eyes fixed on Naruto. You chose to stay despite having your path home. Fascinating. The emotional variable continues to be the most unpredictable factor in any equation. Before either could respond, the facility shook with another explosion, this one from the direction of the command center. That would be Azazel's subtlety at work, Valak commented dryly. This structure will collapse within minutes, Ria noted, seemingly unconcerned by her imminent loss. I suggest we all make our departures. She activated her artificial wings, systems gradually returning to operational status. Until our next encounter, Dimensional Walker. You've given me much to reconsider. Next time, try advancing humanity without kidnapping and torture, Naruto called after her as she rose toward a damaged section of the ceiling. Ria paused, looking back with an enigmatic expression. Perhaps. Evolution has many paths. With that, she disappeared through the opening, leaving them amid the crumbling facility. We should follow her example, Valley advised as support beams began collapsing around them. Unless you want to be buried under a mountain. They navigated through the disintegrating structure, avoiding falling debris and electrical fires. Outside, chaos reigned as Twilight Horizon personnel evacuated in all available vehicles. The rescued yokai had already been moved to safety, according to Vala's update from Azazel. They cleared the compound just as the central building collapsed entirely, taking with it the remains of Ria's dimensional technology. From a safe distance on the ridgeline, they watched the fortress that had taken years to build crumble in minutes. A satisfying conclusion, Azazel commented, joining them with his characteristic relaxed demeanor despite the destruction. Though I admit I'm curious about your momentary hesitation, Naruto. The portal stabilized long enough for passage, did it not? Yeah, Naruto admitted, watching the distant figures of Twilight Horizon operatives fleeing the mountain. It did. Yet you chose to remain. Azazel studied him with knowing eyes. Might this decision have anything to do with a certain nine-tailed queen? Naruto felt his face warm slightly. Among other things. Valis scoffed. Sentimentality. Though. He added grudgingly, I would have found it inconvenient to lose a worthy opponent so soon. Ah, you do care, Naruto teased, burning a glare from the White Dragon Emperor. The yokai are recovered and receiving treatment, Azazel reported, changing the subject. Elder Tamamo sends her particular thanks. Apparently, you made quite the impression. How do we get them back to Kyoto? Naruto asked. Yasaka said the barrier ejection prevents yokai from returning for a lunar cycle. Ah, but that's where having the governor of the fallen angels as an ally proves useful, Azazel replied with a self-satisfied smile. I've arranged a dimensional transfer circle that circumvents the yokai barrier entirely. Benefits of being older than most of their security systems. Relief washed through Naruto. So we can get them home today? Once they're stabilized, yes. Fox. Essence extraction is particularly traumatic, they'll need a few hours of recovery before travel. As they made their way to the temporary recovery site Azazel had established, Naruto felt a growing anticipation at the thought of returning to Kyoto, to Yasaka. The mission's success brought satisfaction, but his decision to stay in this world carried emotional weight he was only beginning to fully process. You chose without hesitation, Kurama noted privately. Even I was surprised. Were you? Naruto asked internally. I thought you knew me better than that. I know you'd never abandon those who need you, the fox replied. But need is subjective. Your friends in Konoha need you as well. They're strong. They'll be okay without me. Naruto watched as medical personnel tended to the recovered yokai. And something tells me this world has challenges coming that will need whatever I can offer. Plus there's the Fox Queen, Kurama added with unmistakable amusement. Yeah, Naruto admitted with a small smile. There's her too. The dimensional transfer circle glowed with ethereal light as Azazel made final adjustments to the complex array of symbols. The rescued yokai gathered within the designated area, their conditions improved but many still weakened from their ordeal. This will deposit you directly into Yasaka's palace grounds, Azazel explained. I've sent advance notice, so they're expecting you. Elder Tamamo, supported by two younger kitsune, approached Naruto before taking her position for transport. Dimensional Walker, she addressed him formally, her 8 tails still dim but beginning to regain their luster. You risked much to save those you barely know. The yokai will not forget this debt. No debt necessary, Naruto replied honestly. I promised Kuno I'd bring you back, and I keep my promises. The elder's eyes sparkled with understanding. Ah, a promise to our young princess. Those indeed must be honored above all. She studied him with ancient wisdom. You chose our world over your own. Such decisions echo through many lives. It felt right, Naruto said simply. Tamamo nodded, seeming satisfied with this answer. The right path often feels thus, even when it is not the easy one. She reached out, lightly touching his forehead with weathered fingers. May your fox spirit guide you true, Naruto Uzumaki. The brief contact left a warm sensation that lingered as she rejoined the others for transport. Naruto sensed something had been given, not power exactly, but a form of blessing or recognition. Elder acknowledgement, Kurama explained. Rare for humans to receive. She sees you as foxkin now. The transport circle activated fully, Azazel's mastery of dimensional magic evident in the smooth transition as the yokai disappeared in a flash of coordinated light. Well then, Azazel dusted his hands dramatically, shall we follow? I imagine a certain leader is quite eager for a full report. Valid declined to join them. I have my own matters to attend to. This Twilight Horizon situation isn't finished. Ria escaped with too much knowledge to simply disappear. Going hunting? Naruto asked. Investigating, Valley corrected. Our paths will cross again, Uzumaki. Next time, prepare to fight at full capacity. The challenge was delivered with what almost approached respect before he activated his wings and departed. He's warming up to you, Azazel observed with amusement. For Valley, that was practically a declaration of friendship. Lucky me, Naruto replied dryly. The transfer circle reconfigured for their journey, symbols shifting to accommodate different parameters. As they took position, Azazel regarded Naruto with uncharacteristic seriousness. Your decision today will have far-reaching consequences, he said. Not just personally, but for the balance of power in our world. A human with your abilities, allied with the yokai faction, it changes calculations across the board. I'm not really thinking about power balances, Naruto admitted. Just doing what feels right. Azazel laughed, his serious demeanor vanishing. And that, my young friend, is exactly why you're so interesting. Most who achieve power immediately start thinking about how to use it politically. You just. He made an expansive gesture. Follow your heart with terrifying power backing your decisions. Before Naruto could respond, the transfer activated, enveloping them in light as space compressed and shifted around them. The sensation differed from ninja transportation techniques, less physical displacement, more reality rearrangement. They materialized in the central courtyard of Yasaka's palace, where a reception committee awaited. Medical teams immediately attended to the recovered yokai, escorting them to healing chambers with efficient care. Naruto scanned the gathered faces, looking for one in particular. His heart quickened when he spotted Yasaka at the top of the palace steps, her 9 tails arranged in a formal display of authority as she oversaw the returnees. Their eyes met across the courtyard, and for a moment, the formal mask slipped, relief and something deeper flashed across her features before royal composure reasserted itself. Your mission succeeded beyond expectations, she addressed them formally as they approached. Kyoto's yokai owe you a debt of gratitude. As I was just telling Elder Tamamo, no debt necessary, Naruto replied, unable to suppress a grin despite the formal setting. Nevertheless, it is acknowledged. Yasaka turned to Azazel with a respectful inclination of her head. Lord Azazel, your assistance proves once again the value of our cooperative arrangement. Always happy to inconvenience human extremists, Azazel replied cheerfully. Though I can't take credit for the most impressive part, our young friend here not only rescued your people but prevented a dimensional catastrophe that could have affected multiple worlds. Yasaka's golden eyes returned to Naruto, searching. The reports mentioned a stabilized portal. To your world. The question contained layers Naruto heard clearly, not just asking what happened, but acknowledging the choice he'd faced. Yeah, he confirmed simply. It was open. I could see Konoha. A subtle shift in her tails betrayed emotion carefully controlled. I see. She maintained perfect composure, though her next words came slightly softer. The council awaits a full debriefing in the central chamber. Shall we proceed? The formal debriefing lasted several hours as every aspect of the mission was analyzed for strategic implications. Naruto provided details of Ria's technology, her artificial enhancements, and the portal's creation and destruction. Azazel contributed intelligence on Twilight Horizon's organizational structure and likely next moves. Throughout the proceedings, Yasaka maintained professional focus, asking precise questions and guiding the discussion with practiced authority. Only someone watching closely might notice how her gaze returned to Naruto more frequently than strictly necessary, or how her tails occasionally shifted in patterns that reflected contained emotion rather than calculated display. When the council finally concluded, Yasaka requested Naruto remain behind as the others departed. Azazel shot him a knowing look before leaving them alone in the grand chamber. For a moment, neither spoke. The formal setting that had dictated their interaction throughout the debriefing suddenly felt absurdly restrictive. So, Naruto broke the silence. That was probably the longest meeting of my life. The simple comment broke the tension. Yasaka's carefully maintained composure softened, a genuine smile replacing her diplomatic mask. Council proceedings are rarely known for their brevity, she agreed, descending from the formal dais to meet him on equal ground. Though few feature such extraordinary reports. Now standing before him without the distance of ceremony, she studied his face with undisguised curiosity. You had your path home, yet chose to remain. Yeah. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. Turned out the decision was easier than I expected. Why? The directness of her question surprised him, no diplomatic phrasing, no careful qualification. Simply, why? Naruto considered how to express what had solidified in that moment before the portal. The complex tangle of responsibilities, connections, and feelings that had made the choice clear despite its consequences. Because I wasn't finished here, he finally said. There's still Twilight Horizon to deal with, yokai who need protection, powers I'm still learning to master. He met her golden eyes directly. And people I'm not ready to leave. The last words hung between them, their meaning unmistakable. Yasaka's tails moved in a wave-like motion that betrayed emotion carefully controlled. Such decisions are not easily unmade. Your world, your friends, your dreams, will always be part of me, Naruto finished. But that doesn't mean I can't build something new here. He stepped closer, closing the formal distance between them. Unless I'm misreading everything about us. The directness seemed to catch her off guard, centuries of diplomatic training momentarily overcome by simple emotional truth. You are not, she admitted quietly, her composure giving way to something more genuine. Though it complicates matters considerably. Good complicated or bad complicated? The question drew an unexpected laugh, musical and unguarded in a way few ever heard from the yokai queen. Both, inevitably. Her tails relaxed from their formal arrangement, moving with natural grace that reflected her true feelings. The leader of the yokai faction and a dimensional traveler with unprecedented powers, political implications alone would fill volumes. Politics can wait, Naruto replied, taking another step closer. Right now, I'd rather talk about that kiss before I left. Golden eyes widened slightly, then softened with humor. Direct as always. It's worked pretty well for me so far. Without further hesitation, Yasaka closed the remaining distance between them. This time, there was no shock or surprise when their lips met, only the natural culmination of a connection that had been building since their first encounter. Her 9 tails curled forward instinctively, enveloping them both in a cocoon of golden fur that shimmered with subtle foxfire. The energy transfer happened automatically this time, power flowing between them not from necessity but from resonance, harmonizing naturally where once it required ritual and conscious effort. When they finally separated, Yasaka's carefully maintained regal demeanor had transformed completely. Her eyes shone with genuine emotion, her posture relaxed from formal precision to natural grace. I have existed for centuries, she said softly, balanced between duty and isolation, never expecting to find someone who could understand both the burden of power and the loneliness it brings. I'm good at surprising people, Naruto replied with a gentle smile. And at understanding loneliness. A distant commotion interrupted the moment, excited voices approaching rapidly down the corridor outside. Both recognized one particular voice rising above the others. They're back already. Where is he? I want to see him now. Yasaka's expression shifted to fond exasperation seconds before the chamber doors burst open to reveal Kunu, who had clearly escaped her handlers yet again. The young fox practically vibrated with excitement, golden eyes scanning the room until she spotted them. You did it, she exclaimed, launching herself across the chamber to tackle Naruto in a hug that would have knocked over someone less prepared. You saved Elder Tamamo and everyone else. I keep my promises, Naruto reminded her, returning the enthusiastic embrace. Kunu beamed up at him, then noticed the proximity of her mother and the slightly disheveled state of Yasaka's normally perfect appearance. Her young eyes narrowed with surprising perceptiveness. Were you two having a special grown-up conversation? She asked innocently, though her twitching tail betrayed mischievous understanding beyond her years. Yasaka smoothed her robes with dignified composure that fooled no one. We were discussing the mission outcomes, Kunu. As leaders often must. Aha. Kunu's skeptical expression would have done Sakura proud. Is that why your tails are doing the happy swishy thing? Naruto couldn't help laughing as Yasaka's tails immediately stilled, caught in their unconscious display of emotion. The yokai queen shot him a look that promised retribution for his amusement. Regardless of my tail's movement patterns, Yasaka replied with admirable recovery, proper young princesses should be in their history lessons at this hour. But this is history. Kunu protested. The Great Rescue Mission. The defeated bad guys. The hero who chose to stay in our world. She bounced excitedly. Elder Tamamo already promised to add it to the official chronicles. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Yasaka. Chronicles. Yokai maintain historical records spanning millennia, she explained. Important events are ceremonially added to our collective memory. And you're definitely important. Kunu declared with absolute certainty. Nobody else has ever had both dragon powers and fox powers and came from another world. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Naruto found himself laughing again, the weight of recent decisions and battles temporarily lifted by childish exuberance. Speaking of Elder Tamamo, Yasaka interjected, shouldn't you be visiting her with the proper welcome home gifts we discussed? Kunu's eyes widened. Oh. I forgot about the sweet rice cakes. She darted toward the door, then paused to look back with a suspiciously innocent expression. You two can go back to your leader discussion now. I'll be busy for hours with Elder Tamamo. Before either could respond to this transparent matchmaking, she disappeared down the corridor, leaving them alone once more. She's going to be impossible now, Yasaka sighed, though without real displeasure. Smart kid, Naruto observed. Sees right through political pretenses. A valuable trait in a future leader, Yasaka agreed, if occasionally inconvenient for her mother. The mention of leadership brought a more serious atmosphere back to their conversation. Yasaka moved toward the chamber's open balcony, looking out over the yokai capital as afternoon light painted the buildings in amber hues. Your decision to remain changes many calculations, she said thoughtfully. Not just personal ones. Naruto joined her at the balcony. You mean politically? Politics, security, faction relations, all will adjust to your presence here. She turned to face him. The balance of power shifts. When someone with your abilities aligns with any faction. I'm not big on politics, Naruto admitted. I just want to help where I can, learn to master these powers, and... He hesitated slightly, see where this connection between us leads. Yasaka's expression softened. Those simple desires may have complex consequences. She gestured toward the city below. My responsibilities are to these people first, their safety, their prosperity, their future. Any personal feelings must be secondary to that duty. I understand duty, Naruto replied seriously. Where I come from, I was going to be Hokage, leader of my entire village. I know what it means to put others first. Something in his response seemed to resonate deeply with her. Perhaps that shared understanding is what draws us together, despite the improbability of our meeting at all. Improbable seems to be my specialty, Naruto grinned. So what happens now? Yasaka considered the question carefully. Now, we adapt. You continue mastering your abilities while learning our world's complexities. I maintain our realm's security while integrating your presence into our strategic positioning. Her tails moved in contemplative patterns. And we explore this connection with appropriate caution. Appropriate caution sounds pretty formal, Naruto teased. Is that yokai speak for dating? The term seemed to amuse her. Dating. Such a simple human word for something potentially profound. Her golden eyes held his. But yes, if that terminology serves, we will date while navigating the accompanying complexities. I can work with that. Naruto's expression grew more serious. There's still Twilight Horizon to deal with. Ria escaped with too much knowledge about dimensional boundaries. Indeed. Her ambitions will not diminish with one defeat. Yasaka's tactical mind was already assessing implications. We must prepare for her next attempt, which will undoubtedly be more sophisticated given what she learned from your encounter. We'll be ready, Naruto replied with characteristic confidence. Between your yokai, Azazel's intelligence network, Vala's power, and whatever I can contribute, we'll handle whatever comes. Yasaka studied him with a mixture of admiration and concern. Your optimism is both refreshing and occasionally alarming. It's worked out so far, he pointed out. I ended up here, didn't I? The simple statement carried deeper meaning that wasn't lost on either of them. Whatever cosmic coincidence, dimensional accident, or fate had brought Naruto to this world had changed both their paths irrevocably. As the afternoon light bathed the yokai realm in golden hues, they remained on the balcony, discussing possibilities and plans. The conversation flowed naturally between strategic considerations and personal discoveries, duty and connection, the weight of leadership and the promise of something neither had expected to find. Weeks passed as Naruto integrated further into the yokai realm. Training continued daily, now with additional instructors bringing specialized knowledge of this world's power systems. His control over the harmonized sacred gears grew steadily, each day bringing new discoveries about their potential. The evolved, balance breaker god form remained elusive, however, achieved momentarily during the dimensional crisis but difficult to reproduce under controlled conditions. Yasaka theorized it required specific emotional and situational catalysts beyond mere technical mastery. True transcendence rarely comes through practice alone, she explained during one training session. It emerges when necessity and spirit align perfectly. Political adjustments followed Naruto's official decision to remain. Azazel facilitated introductions to key faction representatives, helping establish his unique position in this world's complex power structure. As an unaffiliated dimensional traveler with unprecedented abilities, Naruto occupied a category entirely his own, neither subject to existing treaties nor bound by traditional allegiances. Yet his growing connection with Yasaka and the yokai faction was obvious to all observers. Though they maintained appropriate public discretion, their relationship developed steadily beyond political alliance into something deeper and more personal. Their dating preceded in stolen moments between responsibilities, private dinners in palace gardens, training sessions that evolved into conversations lasting late into the night, quiet walks through the yokai capital where Yasaka showed him places of significance in her long history. Kunu, naturally, appointed herself their relationship's most enthusiastic supporter, frequently creating accidental opportunities for them to be alone together. Her transparent matchmaking became something of a running joke among palace staff, who found the young princess's efforts endearing if obvious. 6 weeks after the mountain fortress battle, Yasaka hosted a formal gathering of faction representatives to discuss ongoing Twilight Horizon concerns. Intelligence from multiple sources confirmed Ria had gone underground but continued research into dimensional boundaries with remaining loyalists. The meeting took place in Yasaka's Grand Reception Hall, with delegates from Devils, Fallen Angels, and select human organizations in attendance. Naruto attended not as Yasaka's partner but as the resident expert on dimensional crossing, a distinction that fooled approximately no one, given the knowing looks exchanged whenever they interacted. The threat assessment indicates Ria Twilight has abandoned large-scale operations in favor of targeted research, Azazel reported to the gathered representatives. Smaller, mobile teams focusing on specific supernatural phenomena related to dimensional weakening. Are we certain she hasn't simply given up after such a decisive defeat? Asked a devil representative skeptically. People like Ria don't give up, Naruto interjected. They adapt. The mountain base was just one approach. She's looking for alternatives now. Yasaka nodded agreement. Our intelligence supports this assessment. 3 incidents in the past month suggest targeted extraction of knowledge rather than power, ancient texts stolen from supernatural archives, scholars of dimensional theory disappearing. She's building a theoretical foundation, Azazel concluded. Having failed with brute force methods, she's seeking more sophisticated approaches. The discussion continued, strategies proposed and debated as factions negotiated their respective responsibilities in countering the ongoing threat. Throughout, Naruto observed the political maneuvering with growing understanding. This world's power dynamics were complex but not entirely unlike the Hidden Village. Politics he'd navigated in his own world. When the meeting concluded, delegates dispersed to smaller discussion groups or refreshment areas. Naruto found himself approached by a devil nobleman he recognized as part of Surzex Lucifer's delegation. Dimensional Walker, the devil greeted him formally. Your insights were most valuable today. Just sharing what I've seen, Naruto replied modestly. Indeed. The devil studied him with calculating eyes. Lord Lucifer wonders if you might consider visiting the underworld at your convenience. Your unique perspective could prove enlightening on several matters currently under consideration. The invitation represented exactly the type of faction politics Yasaka had warned about. Everyone wanted access to his knowledge and potential power. Naruto had become adept at navigating such requests diplomatically. I appreciate the invitation, he replied carefully. Once the current situation stabilizes, I'd be happy to discuss possibilities with Lord Lucifer directly. The non-committal answer seemed to satisfy the devil, who nodded respectfully before moving on. Similar exchanges occurred throughout the evening as representatives sought to establish connections with the dimensional anomaly who had decisively joined the supernatural world's power dynamics. Later, as the gathering wound down, Naruto joined Yasaka on a private balcony overlooking illuminated gardens. She had excused herself from formal duties momentarily, her 9 tails relaxing from their ceremonial arrangement as she enjoyed a rare moment of peace. You handled the devil delegation skillfully, she observed as he approached. 6 weeks ago, you would have bluntly declined or inadvertently committed to something problematic. I'm learning, Naruto replied with a smile. Though I still prefer punching problems to talking them to death in committee. Both approaches have their uses. Her tails shifted to make space for him beside her at the railing. The meeting proved productive. Multiple factions now acknowledge Twilight Horizon as a common threat rather than a yokai-specific concern. Progress, Naruto agreed. Though I still think Ria is planning something bigger than these small operations suggest. As do I. Yasaka's expression grew thoughtful. Her ambition extends beyond mere power acquisition. She seeks transformation, of herself, of humanity, of reality itself. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching moonlight play across the garden below. The past weeks had brought a natural ease to their interactions, the ability to share space without constantly filling it with words. I received a message from Valid today, Naruto mentioned eventually. He's tracked a Twilight Horizon research team to an ancient shrine in Northern Europe. Apparently, they're studying some Norse artifact related to world hopping. Concerning, Yasaka acknowledged. Though helpful to have his resources directed toward this investigation. He also said, and I quote, "Tell your Fox Queen she can't keep you in training forever. Our rematch is overdue." Naruto grinned at the memory. I think that's Vala speak for, hello. Yasaka's tail swished with amusement. The White Dragon Emperor lacks certain diplomatic refinements. That's what makes him fun, Naruto countered. He just says what he thinks without all the political wrapping paper. A luxury leaders rarely enjoy, Yasaka replied, though without resentment. Her golden eyes met his with unexpected warmth. Though perhaps one I might indulge in more frequently in the right company. I'm all for less political wrapping paper, Naruto encouraged, moving closer. Her tails responded automatically, curling forward to create a private space around them both, a gesture that had become familiar over recent weeks. Then allow me directness, Yasaka said softly. These past weeks have confirmed what I suspected from our earliest encounters. The connection between us transcends conventional understanding, political, spiritual, personal. It is, quite simply, unprecedented. Good unprecedented or bad unprecedented? Naruto asked, echoing their earlier conversation with a smile. Definitively good, she replied without hesitation. Though still complex in its implications. I can handle complex, Naruto assured her, closing the remaining distance between them. Their kiss deepened beyond previous encounters, energy flowing between them with practiced ease. The harmonization that once required formal ritual now happened naturally, their respective powers recognizing and welcoming each other like old friends. When they separated, Yasaka's usual composed demeanor had softened completely, her expression unguarded in a way few ever witnessed. I have existed for centuries, she said quietly, observed the rise and fall of human empires, negotiated with gods and devils, maintained balance through conflicts that reshaped reality itself. Yet nothing in those experiences prepared me for you, Naruto Uzumaki. I have that effect on people, he replied with characteristic confidence, though his eyes conveyed deeper understanding of what she was sharing. Indeed you do. Her tails moved in unconscious patterns that reflected genuine emotion rather than calculated display. The Yokai Council has noticed, of course. There have been discussions about the implications of our relationship. Good discussions or political headache discussions? Both, naturally. A slight smile. Though predominantly supportive. Your actions during the Twilight Horizon crisis earned significant goodwill. Even the most traditional elders acknowledge the benefits of our alignment. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Is that what we're calling it? An alignment? Political terminology rarely captures emotional reality, Yasaka admitted. In private, I prefer simpler words. Like? Her golden eyes held his with unexpected vulnerability. Partnership. Connection. Perhaps eventually, mate. The term carried weight beyond human equivalent, yokai mating, particularly for powerful nine-tails, represented profound spiritual and energetic bonding rather than merely physical or social arrangement. That's. Naruto searched for an appropriate response to the significance of what she'd just shared. Premature to discuss formally, Yasaka finished for him, composure returning slightly. I merely wish to be direct about potential futures, as they exist in my consideration. Naruto took her hands in his, the gesture simple yet meaningful. I'm not scared of potential futures with you, Yasaka. Whatever form they take. Relief and something deeper flickered across her features. For all her power and centuries of experience, this vulnerability, opening herself to connection after so long in isolated leadership, represented courage of a different kind. Their moment was interrupted by an urgent presence approaching. Kuzunoha appeared at the balcony entrance, her single tail rigid with tension. Forgive the interruption, Lady Yasaka, she bowed formally. We've received an emergency communication from the barrier monitoring station. Unusual energy signatures detected at multiple boundary points. Yasaka shifted immediately to leader mode, though she kept one of Naruto's hands in hers. Pattern analysis. Similar to the mountain facility's portal technology, but dispersed across 17 locations simultaneously. Kuzunoha's expression conveyed the seriousness of the situation. Preliminary assessment suggests coordinated boundary testing. Ria, Naruto concluded immediately. She's probing for weaknesses. Yasaka nodded grimly. Summon the council. Alert our allies per the protocols established today. Full barrier reinforcement at all monitored points. As Kuzunoha departed to execute these orders, Yasaka turned back to Naruto, their brief moment of personal connection necessarily set aside for urgent duties. It appears our enemy has accelerated her timeline, she observed. Good, Naruto replied with characteristic confidence. I was getting bored with all these meetings anyway. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Yasaka laughed, a genuine sound that reflected how much had changed between them. Then let us see what Ria Twilight has planned, she said, tails shifting into their battle-ready configuration. And show her why challenging both a nine-tailed queen and a dimensional balance breaker simultaneously may be her greatest miscalculation yet. Together, they moved to face whatever threat emerged, not merely as allies of convenience or political partners, but as something new and unprecedented in this world of ancient powers and eternal conflicts. The balance breaker god and the nine-tailed queen, a combination that would reshape the boundaries of possibility itself. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.